Hello. Tapote leen tey dama leen di jox benn expert bi ngeen déglu ko about
Hey guys, thank you so much for being here. A quick message before we dive in. You may be watching the show, but haven't taken a moment to click the subscribe button below.
So xam ku
So
may
if you've
play
ever
hangale
gained
lay wax so
value
yéen ñi
from
ko
this
dégg I'm
show,
sorry
it would mean so much to
but
me if
yeah
you click the
lu muy
subscribe
wax ku ko
button right
déglu danga
now.
si am
And
njëriñ
not only will this allow you
so yeah
anxiety, I want to talk about below, and I felt like I was trapped in suffering
tapote
for
leen te
so many
séddoo rek
years. And I didn't know how to get out of this suffering, anxious, stressful feeling that would come and go, that would ruminate at night, that would keep me up at night, that would make me anxious in social settings, that would make me feel like I wasn't good enough. And I know people feel a sense of suffering, anxiety, overwhelm, and stress today, which seems like more than ever. So, I'm curious, with all of your wisdom and experience, how can we overcome or eliminate stress and suffering and anxiety in our lives when it seems to be crippling us? Oh no. So léegi déglu leen audio lifin bi ni interview bi ni while I exercise, okay guys? Ngeen di tab this year. Dama leen di bàyyi ngeen déglu so damay focus.
If you are
Okay.
not conscious of how your mind operates, and many people still are not conscious of how their mind operates, they locate all the source of their troubles outside themselves. So they perceive whatever their life situation is, and every life situation is to some extent problematic. There's no life situation that is totally perfect, where everything is going well. No matter how much you practice positive thinking, which is, of course, a wonderful thing to do, nevertheless, there will always be things that are problematic in every life situation. So life always challenges you, no matter what stage you're at in your life. You get new challenges, even if you are highly conscious or, let's say, enlightened. Even the enlightened person still gets challenged by life situations, and that's a good thing. We may come back to that a little bit later. The beginning of an awakening for people out of their suffering is the realization that most of the psychological suffering, because this is what we're talking about. We're not talking about toothache or anything like that. No. We're talking about psychological suffering. The psychological suffering arises from stories that you tell yourself in your mind about situations, about your life or your life situation. As a practical exercise, or to introduce this teaching to people, I sometimes recommend this. Next time you find yourself in a situation that in which suffering arises, and suffering, of course, is a generic term. It can come in many forms. On one end of the spectrum, suffering is just feeling irritated or upset about something. It might be a minor thing, but you feel irritated. On the other end of the spectrum, there's deep despair, deep depression and sadness, or extreme forms of anxiety, panic, and all that. So you have the two, and in between, there's a wide range of different forms of suffering that arise, and very often they are not recognized as suffering by people. If you're not conscious of how your mind operates, you don't even know that you are suffering. You don't even know that there is another way, that there would be another way in which you could experience this particular situation. So I recommend next time you find you become upset about something or irritated, which is a form of minor form of suffering, experiment. I say, let's take an imaginary situation that these things happen quite often to people. You're in a lineup. Let's say it's at the airport. Airport is a source where often people experience psychological suffering because things don't go the way they expect them to go.
Yes.
Especially these days.
Right.
So you're in a lineup. It's not moving. You're getting more and more irritated and upset. Or it could be anywhere. You're waiting, but it's not happening. You're waiting there, or in a traffic jam, or on the telephone, nobody's answering. Just to get automated message that says your call is important to us. And the approximate waiting time is 45 minutes only. Right. And you feel more and more you get angry and irritated. Now, I recommend the following practice, because you're standing there or waiting there. You might as well practice. Ask yourself, how would I experience this situation if I did not add any interpretation or any thought to it? How would I experience this moment if I didn't add any thought to it, if I did not interpret it in any way, if I just allowed this to be as it is without burdening it with this baggage of thought? So, okay, let's say you're standing in this lineup and you're very irritated. So how would I experience this if I did not, in other words, if I did not, in my mind, say this is bad, and all the other thoughts that come after that? Then, because when you say this is bad, then the next thought comes, my life is bad, and you get a whole string of associated thoughts that are negative. How would I experience this moment without adding any thought to it? Okay, so there you stand. And this would bring your attention into the present moment. And so your attention moves into the present moment. And in this present moment, you're standing there and you're breathing. You're looking around, people moving, whatever the room is you find yourself in. You're breathing, you're perceiving things, people, and suddenly you may find that this moment is actually free of suffering. The suffering did not arise, was not caused by the external circumstance. It was caused by the narrative in your mind about this circumstance. That's a huge distinction, and this is you begin to live consciously when you realize this. Until you realize that, you live unconsciously, which means, in spiritual terms, to live unconsciously is to be totally identified with whatever your mind is saying. I call it the voice in the head, the narrative in your mind that tells you about how bad things are, how they should be. They are, but they shouldn't be. They should be different. But they are, as they are always in this moment. Mm-hmm. You can't change this moment. So you become aware. This was discovered, by the way, 2,000 years ago by a not very well-known ancient Greek philosopher, Epictetus. And he said, the most of your suffering is derived from what your mind is telling you about the situation, but not from the situation itself. And that's an enormous realization. And that can be the beginning of an awakening, to see that the narrative in your mind is mostly what causes the suffering. It is possible, of course, that an external situation may cause physical discomfort, obviously.
Yes.
That's possible. Your legs are hurting, or back is hurting, or it's too cold or too hot. Physical discomfort, of course, that's possible. But that is not suffering in the sense in which we use this term right here now. The psychological suffering, unhappiness is another word you could use. It's a generic term for any form of negativity inside yourself, unhappiness, suffering. So you begin to realize that most of that arises from a mental narrative about a situation or about your circumstances, but not from the circumstances themselves. And then you can begin to practice. Every time you feel upset is arising, some form of anger is arising, some form of negativity, blaming people and situations and saying this shouldn't be happening, or something is not happening, but it should be happening, or they should do this, or they shouldn't do it. All kinds of narratives in your mind. So spiritual awakening is you're beginning to be aware of what your mind is saying. The story that you're telling yourself, about situations, but also the stories you're telling yourself about what you call your life. So, because there are millions of people in this world who live with a very painful sense of identity. They perceive their life as a burden. So
Yes.
they live with this heaviness, and they don't realize this heaviness that they call my life is actually a narrative that they tell themselves. And they say, that's me. All the things that have happened to me, the dread things in the past that people did to me, or circumstances did to me, or maybe even the bad things that I did. So you get a very heavy identity builds up, and that becomes your sense of self. And people don't realize it's a story you're continuously telling yourself in your mind. But you're so identified with the story that you don't exist. You're outside of the story. And so that is what in some spiritual traditions is called the self. The Buddha called it the self, which is the mind-made sense of self, which the Buddha said, which ultimately he recognized that mind-made sense of self is ultimately a kind of fiction that you live through. So now, when you realize that this is the case, this means that at this point of realization, another dimension of consciousness has arisen in you, which is not your mind. We could call it awareness, or we could call it presence. So when you realize what your mind is doing, that is not part of the conceptual mind that works through stories and words and concepts. It is a deeper, or you could say deeper or higher dimension of consciousness that suddenly has arisen. I often call it presence, but another good word for it is awareness. So awareness is the ability to know what your mind is doing. And then the wonderful thing is, at first it's just glimpses. When you detach from the mind, you say, oh, wow. And then you have moments when you're not suffering because you allow this moment to be as it is.
But who are we when we detach from our own mind?
Very good question. Yes. So at first you were identified with the conceptual mind, the story-making mind, and your sense of identity was the story of me.
My past, my memories, my beliefs,
that's right.
All these thoughts that are accumulated in the bank of my mind from the past that I've told myself that this happened to me, this is what's wrong with me, this is why I'm not good enough, or this person did this, or whatever.
Exactly. And now, when the awareness arises, your sense of who you are, your sense of identity, begins to shift from being lodged in the conceptual mind, the voice in the head. It goes to a deeper place, and you realize who you are in your essence is actually the awareness itself. And that is an amazing realization. In other words, this is a dimension of consciousness that is, I call it, beyond thought. Thinking is a wonderful thing. Thinking is a very powerful tool for creating. However, if thinking is all we have, and we look for our identity in the mind, then that is very limiting. If thinking is used as a tool, it's very powerful and empowering and can be very creative. But if thinking becomes self-serving, in other words, you're completely identified with this stream of thinking that for most people, never stops. All through the day, they're talking to themselves. There's a voice in the head. Sometimes they say I, sometimes they talk to themselves and you shouldn't have done that. You're not
you
good
idiot.
enough.
Yeah, all these things.
So this is the most important thing in a person's life, and this is why we're here, is to experience this shift in consciousness, so that increasingly, in glimpses at first, but then increasingly, your sense of who you are is the space of awareness, the presence.
Does that mean there's two of us?
One could say that there is, on the one hand, I sometimes call it, on the one hand, you have your form identity. Your form is both the physical body, which is the first thing people identify with, but really it's not the physical body, it's a mental image of my body, which we may be happy about, or either the body can be a source of pride, or it can be a source of shame, or anything in between. And so people identify with my body. That's the first form identification. And the next is the psychological form of me, all the things that I identify with in my past. The past makes up who I think I am, all the past conditioning, starting in childhood, the way by which the culture in which you grow up, the family in which you grow up, all those things become part of your identity. So you have form, I call it form identity on the one hand, and everybody obviously has one. No matter how conscious you are, you continue to have a physical body until you don't. And you have a form identity, a psychological form. But there is a deeper identity also that, and this is spiritual awakening, that is, I call it essence identity, your essence. And your essence is, if we want to we use the term awareness and we use the term presence. But another term we can use, what that really is consciousness. The essence of who you are is consciousness, the light of consciousness itself. And this is something to be experienced. You cannot understand conceptually what it is that I'm talking about unless you experience in this moment, perhaps, it's the only moment there is, unless you experience what that means, that you are in essence, you are consciousness, the space or the light of consciousness. Between two thoughts, for example, sometimes there's a thought that comes to an end, another thought hasn't arisen yet, you have a gap of 5 seconds or 10 seconds, and it's an experiential thing. To realize yourself as consciousness it implies that for very brief instances, the mind becomes still, it subsides. But you are still there. So when you're not, let's say, let's assume that you let go of any memory of your past, because you don't need it right now. That you don't remember your past at all, or your name or anything. And you're not thinking about future. In fact, you're not thinking at all. But you are aware. You're aware of your sense perceptions. But you're not interpreting sense perceptions. You're allowing sense perceptions to be. Now, who or what are you when you're not telling yourself who or what you are? Who or what are you without the story? And some people are afraid of that. They're so attached to the story they can't let go. But it's a wonderful practice. For some people, they only let go when the story that they have, that they call their life, becomes so painful that they can't stand it anymore. And then sometimes they experience a breakthrough.
But why do so many people hold on to their pain identity, their past story, for decades sometimes? Why do they hold on to it so long when you might see their friends and family seeing that they're suffering and struggling, but they're unwilling to break free of this old identity or current identity they've been holding on to for so long? sometimes, like you said, people will finally, it gets so bad, they finally let that identity go. But why does it take an extreme, horrible breakdown or pain for people to finally say, you know, this old story of mine, this old identity doesn't work for me anymore. I want to let it go and step into a new identity. Why is that so challenging for people?
Well, we all inherit, it goes back thousands of years in a collective consciousness or unconscious humanity. We all inherit this kind of dysfunction, a mental.
I'll just say this and I will let this continue. Keep tapping and saying, why it's so hard to let go of that for me and a lot of people is that people will not accept the new you. They will still treat you like the old you. Many of them. That's the main reason for that. After the challenge, you know, after you go through all the challenging, go through all the getting rid of the ego and pride, go through all the hard work to create a new you, and then people will still treat you like
the word for that is the ego. It is the human ego. Ego, sometimes when people use the term ego, they interpret it in different ways. Then there's the ego that's used by Freud, the Freudian ego and other egos. But when I use the term ego, or when it's used in a spiritual context, ego simply means complete identification with your mind, with the thinking, the mental, emotional makeup of you. That's ego is complete identification with that. And so that's so deeply ingrained. Every human being inherits that kind of dysfunction.
Wow.
And so it's so hard to let go because it's so deeply ingrained by the conditioning of your mind. And so some people need an enormous amount of suffering. And even with that, some people don't awaken even then. They be unhappy until they die. Or they die even at an early age because the body can't stand the unhappiness anymore. It isn't functioning properly anymore because their mental state interferes with the otherwise harmonious functioning of the body. So they make themselves ill through stress.
Right.
So we are faced with, it's an enormous, it's also it's a challenging and wonderful thing to realize that your purpose here, beyond any purpose that you might have on a personal level, which also has a function, but your deeper purpose is to evolve as a conscious being and to go beyond the ego here, so that consciousness evolves. Because you're an expression of universal consciousness, and universal consciousness throughout the universe is awakening. We live in an awakening universe. And so gradually, life forms, in our case, the human life form, begins to awaken into a higher level of consciousness.
Yes.
So the essence here is realizing the possibility of living in a different state of consciousness where you're not necessarily always immediately thinking and interpreting things.
And if there's someone watching or listening that is thinking to themselves, you know what, I'm just feeling pain psychologically, kind of off and on consistently, and I haven't been able to figure out how to break free and feel a sense of true harmony internally, true peace. Yes, of course, there's challenges that are going to come our way as human beings, you know, as we continue to grow. But as a baseline, peace and harmony, and they just can't figure out how to get there. What type of application or what do people need to be aware of and then take action on in order to start working towards inner peace and harmony?
Right. Yes, good question. Well, a good entry point is the present moment. That's the present moment is I sometimes call it the portal into that state of consciousness that we call presence or awareness. Now, the the egoic mind, as I call it, the egoic mind is not really interested in the present moment, and it usually tries to obscure the present moment. It's interested in some other imagined moment, but not
past, the future, worry, doubt. Yeah.
Yes, it ignores the present moment, but the first realization is the absolute importance of the present moment in your life. It's the foundation for everything. And your relationship to the present moment determines how the future evolves, what we call future, which, by the way, never arrives, because when it arrives, it's again the present moment.
Yes.
So the realization that all you ever have, all that you can ever experience, is intrinsically linked with the present moment. It's inseparable from the present moment. Your entire life unfolds in and as the present moment. That's all there ever is. The past, when the past happened, it was the present moment. It couldn't happen anywhere else. And when you remember the past, you remember it in the present moment.
Right.
The future, when the future comes, when tomorrow comes, it won't be tomorrow anymore. It will be the now. There was a British pub in London I lived in London for many years. They had a sign on the bar that says free beer tomorrow. And of course, tomorrow never comes. So the sign is always true.
That's funny.
You go the next day, say, no, tomorrow.
Tomorrow. Wow, that's funny.
Yeah. So tomorrow actually never comes. Of course, we need to make plans on a practical level. The future is indispensable. We need it future for us to get together here to talk, to stipulate day and time for connecting. So on a practical level, we cannot do without future. But on a deeper level, on a deeper psychological level, it's important to realize that the future as such does not actually exist, because all you can ever experience or have is the present moment.
Yes.
So that's the starting point. Begins with the realization of the absolute primary importance of the present moment. This is all you ever have. So you might as well have a good relationship with the present moment, because if your relationship with the present moment is dysfunctional, your entire life is dysfunctional.
Right. So how do we, if someone watching or listening is saying, well, my present is really challenging right now.
Yes.
I've got a lot of debt. I feel I've got some sickness in my body and my health is not there. I'm going through a divorce or breakup. The career is not as good as I want it to be. There's some type of pain in the present. Yeah. How can I actually enjoy the present when I'm in breakdown everywhere?
Yeah. Let's leave aside for a moment physical pain. It's another story. But the psychological pain that's there is, again, associated with certain situations. It's associated with your life situation, which may be problematic on some level, whether it's financial or relationship or work situation or living situation. It's or health situation. It's very likely that at any given time, your life situation will be problematic on at least one of these levels.
Right.
And sometimes it's not one, it's two or three or four. It becomes really problematical. You lose all your money. You lose your job. Your wife leaves you. Or you lose your home. These things do sometimes happen.
Yes.
So you have that. And again, that's usually these life challenges, situational challenges, are usually perceived as being part of the present moment, but they're not really the present moment. They are what I call your life situation. But other than your life situation, you have something that I call your life. Life situation exists in time. Life is now. And never not now. And since your life is now, you have to ask yourself, yes, I have all these problems. I don't know how I'm going to pay the rent, maybe. Or my relationship is problem. I'm in the middle of divorce proceedings. All these things that happen to people. Or I've just been let go. My company has collapsed or whatever. Or it might collapse. Maybe it's doing well, but it may not do well next year. All kinds of things that are perceived as problematic, which sometimes are real and sometimes are just imagination. That again, we need to differentiate between when people say they're having big problems. Sometimes they are just in the mind because they think of things that might go wrong. At other times, they are actually real challenges happening around you.
Right.
But here again is to single out the present moment and not to ignore action that you might take or have to take in order to change certain situations. Is there any action that I can take? That's a secondary question. It's important, but it's secondary. Primary question, I often ask people, what problem do you have at this moment? And then they usually start by saying, well, I'm running out of money, or I'm living in this unpleasant this place. Well, anyway, I said, no, running out of money is not this moment, right here and now. What problem do you have here and now, in this moment? And then you look around. Maybe you become aware of that you're breathing, and you look around, and then you reluctantly sometimes people have to admit, well, okay, I'm ready to admit that at just this moment, there isn't actually a problem. The next one there might be, but the next one is again this. Of course, at this moment, you may have a challenge that you immediately need to deal with. If you're going for a walk and you encounter a wild animal coming towards you, you don't say, I don't have any problems at this moment. That's a challenge that you need to deal with, but we wouldn't call it a problem. I mean, I sometimes go for walks in the forest, usually there are bears here. So if you encounter a bear, that is not a problem, it's a challenge, and you deal with it. Either you run away or you don't, whatever you do, you deal with it. The problem it lives in the mind. To get out of that is to give much more attention to the present moment and realize that in the present moment, the problem cannot survive.
Say that one more time, in the present moment?
Any problem you have cannot survive in the present moment. Because problem is a burden that you carry in your mind, your mental emotional field. That's what a problem is. The rest is situations and circumstances. Either you leave them alone if there's nothing you can do, or you take some action. But they're not a problem. Either you act or you don't act. And if you don't act, you take your attention into the present moment and see that it's actually okay.
Right.
And I often get correspondence from people in prison. They're in prison, and through my foundation, we are sending thousands of books to prisons and for prisoners to read. I often get communication. People realize that in their prison cell, they realize that actually I have no problem. In other words, they come to a complete alignment with the present moment. There's no longer an entity that says this should not be happening, because that's where the suffering arises. And of course, prison is a situation where you probably can't take much action, where you can try to escape, but you probably won't succeed.
Right. You've got to accept and surrender.
Yes. So there's always the action may need to be taken, but if no action is possible, then you come to a place of surrender. But it's positive surrender, not negative surrender. Positive surrender is an uncompromising yes to the present moment, an uncompromising yes to what is. That is a place of great inner power that arises with, yes, this is what is. That's the starting point. So you're not arguing with the isness of things, because that's insane. You cannot argue with what is. And that this constant arguing with what is, this actually amplifies the ego, the egoic consciousness. The ego loves to argue with what is. It loves enemies, and the ego makes the present moment into an enemy.
All right.
Now, can you see how insane that is? To make the present moment into your enemy, because that's all you ever have. It means you make your whole life into an enemy, because your whole life is the present moment.
Right.
So I sometimes say, make the present moment your friend, not your enemy. Make the present moment your friend. Then your whole life begins to change. Because what we call future is just an extension of your state of consciousness in the present moment. So if your state of consciousness is negative, it is very likely that you will experience much more negativity in the so-called future.
Right.
If the present moment, if you're in the present moment, you're in a place of acceptance, of positive acceptance, then it's very likely that the so-called future, I always say so-called future because the future as such doesn't exist. It's always, when it comes, it's a now.
Yes.
So the so-called future reflects your state of consciousness in the present moment. So that's really a very important realization. So that is how the absolute importance of your state of consciousness here and now. What is your state of consciousness now? Rather than thinking that something else is more important than my state of consciousness. So in any situation, you're faced with any situation, what is the state of consciousness with which you face the situation? Are you in a state of resistance or negativity towards the situation? Because when in any endeavor that you undertake, inevitably obstacles will arise in anything.
Yes.
You want to create something new. Obstacles come in many forms, sometimes in the form of human beings who don't like you to do what you're doing, or it can come in the form of other structures that are in society, the rigid structures. So, and you get all kinds of bureaucratic obstacles or whatever the obstacles are. So how do you face an obstacle? What is your state of consciousness when an obstacle arises? Do you immediately become angry? Do you become despondent? Or do you start complaining in your mind of people and talking about others, how awful this situation is, and complaining? Or are you able to just immediately say, this is what is? So you face the obstacle, not in a state of resistance, come from a state of power. This is what is. And then when you are in that state of presence, very often a right action arises spontaneously. Then you find yourself doing the right thing because you're not making the situation into an enemy. And this is very important. And if you want to achieve great things, and a huge obstacle for people is to start complaining and building up stress when things go wrong. In other words, things shouldn't be happening. So they become negative. They become unpleasant. They become unpleasant to people, colleagues and people they work with. And a lot of negative energy can build up in a company and so on. And that is not some of the most effective people in this world. There are perhaps a few. They don't work with negativity. They work immediately with a positive attitude. They don't make the present moment into an enemy. They might never have heard any spiritual teaching, so perhaps that is some kind of innate wisdom that they have, or maybe they've learned this lesson in a past lifetime, who knows. So the important is always start with the present moment, and again, what problem do I have now? Is there a problem here and now, just this moment? Well, actually, no, not really. The problem isn't here. The problem is in the mind, but it's not here. That's a place of power, and then you become aligned with the power of now, the power of the present moment. So which is the power of consciousness itself, beyond the ego, far more powerful. The ego is only it's like the reflected light, like the moon reflects the light of the sun, and the ego reflects the light of consciousness. So it's not power. There's no power in ego itself. In the same way that there's no light in the moon. It's just reflected light.
Wow. Yeah, that's powerful. This has been fascinating so far. I'm sure we could talk about, consciousness and suffering for hours, but I want to get to a few other concepts here. One of them being about the law of attraction, because you mentioned kind of synchronicities and serendipities and kind of this idea of when we align ourselves to consciousness and to more harmony thoughts, to more peaceful thoughts. In my experience, things just come, the right things that I'm intending, they happen very quickly and unexpectedly. I would love to hear your thoughts on your definition of the law of attraction, but also maybe the 3 habits that you see people doing the most that hurt them from attracting effortlessly using the law of attraction.
Right. Well, the main mistake perhaps that people make is not coming from a place of fullness, but coming from a place of neediness, and putting too much attention on what is the undesirable conditions so that they want to get rid of, but mentally almost continuously focusing on the undesirable condition, like not enough money, for example. That is the problem for many people. So
let's use money for the example then, the law of attraction with money. How could we attract more wealth or financial abundance in our life using the law of attraction?
Yeah. Well, first of all is the acknowledgement of abundance that is already here and now. And not focusing on the lack of abundance that is here now, which you could find by thinking about it, but to actually focus on where is the abundance that I can find here and now, and that is all around you. It is in nature. When you look at the abundance of nature, the multiplicity of life forms, the wonder of nature, the abundance of even, or let's say you're in a city, you can look at, appreciate all the things that you see around you. You don't need to necessarily own it or buy it, just appreciate it. So this first, the appreciation of the goodness of life that is always all around you. Even if you have no money, there's still the goodness of life is all around you. You see it all around you. The sunshine, the sun is the ultimate symbol of abundance because it gives energy of itself almost eternal. Eventually the sun will die, but as far as we are concerned, it's virtually eternal. It pours out energy continuously, and this at some point we will realize that even on the level of energy, the universe is infinitely abundant. So we will no longer need things that we're using now, fossil fuels, and those things. We will have access to other forms of energy that are more helpful. But the abundance is all around you. Let's say you're past in the city, you're walking past a flower shop.
Go.
You look at, wow,
Get out of my body.
such beauty,
Go.
appreciation, even to seeing a beautiful man or woman, or nice, or even a beautiful car. No, I love it. Not, why don't I have that car? Why does he have that car? It's all egoic narratives that make you unhappy. To appreciate, no, nature, of course, is very powerful. And then you to appreciate the aliveness in your body, that you're breathing, and you can actually feel that your body. Many people can't feel that. I call it the inner body awareness. You feel that every cell of your body is pervaded with a sense of aliveness, energy, and you can feel that. That is abundance. So there's abundance of life all around you. You can feel the life within you also. And so some people call it gratitude. I call it more appreciation. The appreciation of the abundance of life that is always around you. That's a wonderful starting point.
Okay.
So you're not focusing on lack, you're focusing on abundance. And
even when you don't have any, if you feel like
Yes,
you don't have anything, you can find abundance around you.
yes, always acknowledge it. The good
Yes.
things of life, acknowledge, but even the seemingly insignificant things, like when I look out of the window, there's trees out here. Right now I can look out, I can see there's a slight breeze and the branches are swaying slightly in the wind. It's beautiful. And there's the tree in all its majesty and stillness. It's been there for 100 years. And that's wonderful. I don't need to own that tree. I mean, owning in that sense is ultimately a bit meaningless anyway. Yes, I own this house where I am right now, but at some point I'll be gone. And so what does it mean? The house, somebody else will own the house. Own is a secondary. I'm not saying to let go of ownership sometimes can give stability to your life on a practical level. But there's something more important. So this appreciation, or if you want to call it gratitude, some people recommend,
people that aren't from Senegal.
I think Oprah said that
People that don't like good knowledge,
has had
they all
for many,
gone.
many years a notebook
Running
or
away
journal
from
where she
themselves.
writes down every day things that she's grateful for.
Can't run, guys.
And
There's nowhere to hide.
these are
Did you know how to-
usually seemingly insignificant things, but it's important not to overlook
I don't know what that is.
And I don't
Strong
think she's writing
call.
down,
Oh, strong call.
I'm grateful that
Yeah,
I have
I
a
don't really know
private
how to
jet,
do it, but
or I'm grateful
I
that
saw
I have
people doing it.
$2.5 billion in the
If you want
bank.
to lose weight, drink some coffee.
She
Really?
writes
I
down
drink
the
coffee though.
small things that
I'm
every
grateful
day.
for my
once
garden.
a
I'm
day,
grateful
most
that
of
I
the
get to
time.
plant a flower today.
Yeah.
I'm grateful that I get to go on a walk
Well,
with
maybe
my
I could
friends.
forget
I'm
it.
grateful
I
that I
couldn't
woke
forget
up
Yes,
today.
yes.
Too much coffee
The
is not
next
good for
thing
you at all.
is, the second
You know that.
thing, I'd say, is giving. To give energy to other people. Appreciation itself is already a form of certain outflow of energy. When you appreciate
A lot of people
this
drink too much
tree,
coffee because
beauty,
it's not good for you
there's
at
an
all.
energy
Especially
connection
when
with
you're
the
drinking this
tree.
bad
There's
coffee. Maybe you should
the
drink
consciousness
original
connects you with
organic
the
coffee,
tree.
not this factory coffee.
And
But still,
kindness is part of giving. Kindness to another person, not because you want anything from that person, but because it feels so good to have this sense of, we could call it goodwill that flows out of you towards another person. Even if you just hold the door open for somebody, or it's a remark, or that's what's lovely, I love your dress, or whatever you say. If it's genuine, or to say an encouraging word to somebody, or to whatever it may be, a smile at somebody. Even that is a form of giving. This connection with another. Kindness is a very powerful thing. So you are giving. You're not. The more you give, it's in the law of attraction or nature. As you give, it must come back to you in another form. But it doesn't work if you give out of an obligation that you feel you should be giving, or it needs to be a genuine sense of wanting to give and feeling how good it feels to give, not because mentally you feel you always need to help people, because otherwise you don't think of yourself as a good person or something. That's all mind stuff. But to experience how good it feels to give. So we have, on the one hand, appreciation, gratitude and appreciation are kind of saying that giving every day of in whatever form. And the next thing is that obviously Jesus already, in one sentence, one could say, told us the essence of manifesting and how it works. And he said, whenever you
From everyone, guys. Everyone have good knowledge.
pray for something that you want, believe that you already have it and it will be given to you.
Yes.
There's the key. So the important thing is, he did not say, believe that you will have it. He said, believe that you already have it. Now, this may not be immediately clear to people. How do I do that? How do I believe that I already have it when I know that I don't have it?
Right. How do you get that belief of having it before knowing, feeling, tasting, smelling the thing that you want?
Yes. So you feel the thing, it is already a mental reality in your mind. How do you feel now that you have it in your mind? How does it feel? And this feeling is really where the power of manifestation lies. But what is that feeling? Because that feeling of having it already and feeling this deep sense of satisfaction is really connecting with the deeper power within yourself, which is the power where all sense of aliveness originates there. It's a deeper sense of aliveness that comes from consciousness itself. So you might believe, it might differ from person to person. One person might think, okay, what I want is a big house with overlooking the ocean or whatever, and then you feel yourself, you're already there, experiencing that. Another person might think, well, what I want is to have this great a company that does good things in this world, and I'm at the end. How does that feel? But you might find that the feeling is actually basically always the same, whether your mind says, it's a house overlooking the ocean. Now, why? Or the other person says, well, this is the company that I'm the head of that's doing great things in this world. The feeling is basically the same feeling. And the feeling is a feeling of fullness of life.
Yes.
Of completeness. That is power. So when you feel this feeling of fullness and then you associate it with a mental image, that is the power of manifestation there. But the feeling itself is beyond the mental image and is beyond whatever form you are able to manifest in this world, because that is the feeling of the inherent sense of aliveness that comes when you go deeper into yourself and experience the presence that you are. And this, to know yourself as the presence is inherently joyful and powerful. To know yourself as so, and that is, you manifest from a place of fullness, not from a place of lack.
Right.
The fullness is already there. And that also means if for some reason it doesn't manifest, because not everybody's desires manifest. I mean, I don't know if it's still happening. LA, for example, if you go to any good restaurant in LA, it's more than likely that the waiter or waitress will be actors waiting for their big breakthrough. Yes. And it's just not possible for so many people to have the big breakthrough in LA as actors. Some may do, few may do, but most probably won't. But they probably have other breakthroughs that perhaps are much more important than what their ego tells them is important.
And to add to that, I love this, what you're sharing here, because I want people to really feel this and understand this and embrace it, because when we try to manifest from lack, it's going to be this needy energy, which was your first point, that kind of kills the dream of the law of attraction. And when we manifest from a place of fullness, like you spoke of, like a feeling of fullness, wholeness, excitement, abundance, joy inside of us, and if it doesn't happen, if that dream doesn't come to us in the next year or 5 or 10 years, then we've lived a full, rich life every moment till that moment. Like we've lived a full year of feeling excited and passionate and good about ourselves. And that energy is magnetic. You will draw in great people, partners, relationships, opportunities that maybe you couldn't have dreamed of, because the energy you gave into the world, like you talked about. And I think that's the big point for me, is the dream and the idea you have, maybe your ego wants, maybe you won't have it. But man, you'll live a great, beautiful, rich life in the process of pursuing it.
Very good point. So in other words, the journey is what matters. The arriving at some destination is the end point, but it's secondary. The journey is always the journey. It's always now. That's what matters. And so sometimes what you wanted to manifest doesn't happen, but something else manifests that could be even better. In fact, in many even cases, is much better than what you have envisaged.
Absolutely. I always wanted to be a professional athlete, and I played professional football for about 1.5 years before I got injured. In the injury, I broke my wrist, and I was wearing a cast, and I had a surgery, and I had a cast on for 6 months. And it took about 1.5 years for me to use my wrists again from the injury. And during that time, I was in a state of extreme sadness and a loss and a grief of this identity that I once had, and this dream that I once had, that I was working so hard for my whole life to manifest, to create. And then all of a sudden, this injury broke my abilities to do that. And I remember thinking, what am I going to do with my life? Like, what's the point? 23, 24 years old. I'm like, what am I supposed to do now? And it led me into this journey that I'm on now, doing this interview series and podcast for the last 10 years, that I'd much rather have this life than the life of a professional athlete now. Like, and sometimes, like you said, going back to the beginning of this, if we can accept and surrender in the positive way to see what good can come, it may be challenging in the moment, but it's been a blessing since then.
Yes, that's a lovely story. That's how it actually works. And another thing to mention is, let's say you do manifest what it is you wanted to manifest. When you come from this place of fullness, you do not have, yes, you have an appreciation of what you have achieved, but you don't have an excessive attachment to what you have achieved. So let's say you are able to manifest that you have a house overlooking the ocean, and you manifest it, there you have it. And one day when you get home, you find your house has fallen into the ocean. It's gone.
Right.
So the whole thing that you worked so hard for to achieve is suddenly gone. But this place of fullness that enabled you to manifest that is still there. It's beyond outer forms.
Yeah, and you feel full in life. Maybe there's a moment of sadness during that, but if you're not attached to the physical things you've manifested, I'm sure if I lost my home, I feel like it's a sanctuary. It's a beautiful, peaceful space. But I've lived in 2-bedroom apartments for most of my life, and I felt like those were peaceful places for me. And it's not like, I'm sure I'd be sad. For a minute, but then I could also create the sense of fullness in the next space.
Exactly. And I have this, let's see, I, for a long time, until my 32nd year, my main form of transportation was, except other than public transport, was a bicycle.
That's beautiful.
So I got my driver's license when I was 30. My first car when I was 32. And that was a very
What city were you in? What country or city?
London and Cambridge at that time. And I loved my bicycle. I just wonder, I appreciated it. I loved sometimes I was just looked at it, was standing there, and and then somebody gave me, I was poor at the time, somebody gave me an older car, and I loved that. And then I was able to, I got a little bit of money. I was able to buy the cheapest car I could find. It was called Lada. It's a Russian make. They still make them, but they're a bit better now than they used to be. People would laugh at these cars because they were notorious for breaking down, but it was very, very cheap. And I bought this, and it never broke down. I loved that car. It never broke down. I must admit, very embarrassing on hills because you could, you were holding everybody
You
up.
had to get out and push it. Yeah.
I loved that car, and then I eventually left England, and I sold it. A friend of mine was interested. I sold it to him, and 2 or 3 weeks after he bought it, it broke down and couldn't get repaired anymore. It was incredible. It's almost effortless because I have this kind of relationship, even with so-called inanimate objects. I think that even there is a glimmer of consciousness in everything.
Really?
That's how I sense things. There's a glimmer of consciousness. So,
and when you have an intention and an appreciation for the thing that you're with, the bike, the cheap car, it tends to take care of you when you take care of it with your energy, right?
Very much.
I had a similar experience when I moved to LA, 11, 12 years ago. I didn't have a car in my 20s. I had like a $500 car that broke down after 6 months. And so I walked everywhere in Columbus, Ohio for about a year. And then I moved to New York City. I didn't need a car. And then I moved to LA and I bought a $4,000 car. It was like a 1997 year-old car. And probably one of the oldest cars on the road. I drove it every day. It was a $4,000 car. And for being in LA, you know this world, that's kind of like looked down upon. It's like, oh, you don't have this nice new car. I drove it for 5 or 6 years. I loved it. It was like, it got me from place to place. It was comfortable. It was reliable. And I was happy with it. So yeah, it took care of me and I took care of it.
Yes. And that's I feel the same. And then later, finally I had the money. I bought an expensive car, which I still have. I bought it 16 years ago. Ooh. It's now a kind of classic. And I love that as much as I loved the bicycle many years ago.
Yeah, that's cool.
So it's the same, and it's not. It's many people, of course, have an egoic identification with their car, but what we are talking about is very different. It's not that. It's not an egoic. If I had an egoic identification with my cheap Russian car, my ego would have felt diminished because often people laughed at it. It's, oh, look, this car. But I didn't mind. It was fine. I didn't have egoic identification. And I don't have an egoic identification with this more expensive classic car that I have now that's 16 years old. But I love it. I have a kind of relationship with it. If something happened to it, I would let go. It's fine.
Right. Right.
Everything eventually leaves you, unless you leave it, it leaves you.
Yeah, that's interesting. That's beautiful. Was there anything else that you think hurts people from the law of attraction and manifesting what they want? We talked about the neediness and coming from a place of lack.
Yeah. Well, maybe one other thing. Sometimes whatever people want to manifest comes from an egoic place. The ego wants to by achieving this or that, the ego wants to feel more powerful than before. It wants to have an enhanced sense of identity through it by showing to other people that you have more than others. It wants to show its superiority. The ego always looks for superiority, and so that could be. You may still get what you want, but your power will be greatly diminished if it's an egoic endeavor. But even with an egoic endeavor, sometimes even that it could still work with hard work and determination. You might get it, but it won't make you happy. When you get it, you very quickly you will feel needy again.
Interesting.
So
why is that? I'm sure you know a lot of very famous rich billionaires and people with lots of money who are still suffering and aren't happy inside once they got the thing they wanted. Why is it that people suffer and struggle when they have lots of money and have the big homes? Why this is still not enough?
Yes, well, to the ego, it's never enough. To the ego, nothing, because the ego is a sense of lack, sense of not good enough, not enough yet. So it's never enough for the ego. And if you have everything that the world tells you, you really should be happy now because you've got. And I've met people like that. They've got money, huge amounts of money. They've got fame and recognition and the private jet. And they've can do anything, go anywhere at any moment. And that can be particularly bad, counterproductive, because you cannot fool yourself. The ego cannot fool itself by saying, when I get this, I'll be happy. Because then you can still postpone. The ego can say, once I achieve that, I'll be happy. But the person who already has everything, he or she cannot say that anymore. Because you have no way, there's no excuse anymore. And because you have everything and you're not happy. So then, and this is very often people then start taking drugs or engage in other kinds of seeking sensory satisfaction through substances or going from one relationship into another, having sex or whatever they do, because they can buy anything they want. They get getting more and more unhappy because they do all, the ego was there, and the ego will never be satisfied. No matter what you achieve. In the Course in Miracles, it says, I don't know if you've seen that, it says, you will always know when whether the ego was at work when once you achieved it, it hasn't satified you. It was the ego.
The ego just gonna keep going. Why? The ego never
something I wanted to
stops.
speak to you about is how do you dropship products in the UK with next day delivery? Because when you purchase something from one of those,
let's go ahead and make $1,988 a week.
So there's another saying that goes, there are two ways of being unhappy. One is not getting what you want, the other one is getting what you want.
Wow.
That refers to the ego. So some people are unhappy because they don't get what they want, and the others are unhappy because they get everything they want. But it's still ego.
The ego.
What do you think? How does someone be happy while they're on the path of trying to manifest?
The ego. Alhamdulillah,
Qualities that they have in their current relationship or career success, money, things like this. How can they be happy no matter what happens? It comes to you or it doesn't.
Happiness starts with the alignment with the present moment. It can only arise if you are aligned with the present moment. I sometimes call that the vertical dimension of life, which is now. And then there's a horizontal dimension of life, is where it's past and future, and you have a goal you're working towards, that's fine. You have the horizontal dimension. And the vertical dimension is the present moment. The horizontal dimension is the dimension of becoming. You become good at something, or you acquire something. You become something. There's an evolutionary process at work, and that obviously has its place. It's there. But if you're exclusively focused on becoming and achieving and attaining and acquiring, you're trapped on the horizontal. You can never really enjoy the present moment, because the present moment is the vertical dimension, here and now, inseparable from the now. The cross, the symbol of the cross, one could interpret as, which is an ancient, it even predates Christianity. The symbol of a cross can be interpreted as pointing to the intersection between the horizontal and vertical dimension of love. That is the importance that is to discover the dimension, the vertical dimension, which is the power of the now, the present moment. And then the horizontal dimension works better. And you're not
It's about
dependent
Korean,
on
guys.
it for your ultimate satisfaction. You're not dependent on any kind of achievement, attainment, or whatever it is that the horizontal dimension for your it may give you some kind of satisfaction. But the deepest
I know you guys be like, what the hell? I mean, it's just lying down like nothing is happening.
inseparable from going more deeply into the
What?
present moment.
It's itching my face.
Discover the
Yeah,
essence of what you are as
Woo!
consciousness itself, presence, here and now. And in other words, you could say, you sense the beings of you. You sense that you
Whoa!
are.
Yeah, man, my itch.
And
Oh my God.
there is an enormous power there that has no form. You can't interpret it. It's the power of aliveness itself, here and now. It goes far beyond what you are as a person. The person exists on the horizontal dimension, but there is a deeper dimension to who you are that is only discovered in the vertical dimension. In the vertical dimension, you are already complete. There's nothing to achieve there.
Did you guys hear this? Are you guys
You're
hearing
already
him?
full
Oh.
and complete. On
That's
the
so hard for
horizontal,
people to. That's so hard for people to comprehend when they don't feel complete.
on the horizontal, you're not complete, and you'll never be complete.
Gotcha. Okay.
Because no matter what you achieve, if you become good at one thing, you lose something together. There's always a world of polarities in the horizontal dimension. That even I find that still you achieve great things. Before I've been teaching spiritual awakening for many years. In the past, I had intimate groups of 10, 20 people. Now there's hundreds or thousands
Arenas.
of people often come.
Yeah.
I don't have the close relationship with individuals anymore. It's just can't. I'm reaching many more people, but I've lost this closer connection with the people that I'm teaching. There's always a price to pay. On the other hand, I'm reaching far more people than before, but there's always a price to pay. Even privacy. I'm not a great celebrity, but I do. Wherever I go, people say, "Oh my God!" and the moment it happens, it's wonderful. I love the connection that I feel, but I do lose privacy because sometimes people watch what's he eating, what's he doing, why is he drinking coffee, whatever.
I thought he was spiritual. Yeah.
Yeah.
Book the holiday rental that gives you the action and the relaxation you need. Booking.com, booking.yeah.
Whoa.
Or you lose something. There's the course gain and loss.
I know you guys be like, what
World
the
of
hell?
polarities.
This
And
one
the-
is
and
doing.
the becoming
This exercise is the best
become,
for the whole
again,
body
has a
and for
positive and a
well-being
negative
and
side. On the one hand, you
just
can
because it
become
stretch as well. Yes,
stronger
good for
as
your
you
health
grow
plus
up.
weight
You
loss.
can become more knowledgeable, you become wealthier.
The way I'm like,
But eventually the becoming becomes also negative because then your body becomes weaker because you get older. And maybe you lose something and then you become. So the becoming is the polarities operate on the horizontal dimension, but it's without the access to the vertical dimension, nothing can
so
satisfy
this one you have to do
purely,
100 every
purely
day.
on the horizontal
Do it
dimension.
on your bed,
So the vertical dimension is
can do it
present
on the
moment.
floor.
To realize the
One that I'm
power
doing
of
now.
the present moment that is
And the one I'm going to
inseparable
do
from
after this.
who or what you are in your essence, the power of you.
So,
And that is
watch
not an
and
egoic
learn.
thing, because this you far transcends who or what you are as a person. It connects you with the identity of the universe itself. This is it's the I am, without adding anything to it. I am. In the Old Testament, prophet asks,
It's my hands that is
meets God
painful.
and
Here,
asks God, what is your name? And God
they're
says,
paining me.
I am the I am.
Let me see if I can do it like this.
That is a very deep statement. That is the beingness itself. Beingness itself. And you can feel that, you can sense that here and now. When for a moment your mind subsides, you're not thinking anymore without making effort. You're not thinking anymore. And who are you without any thought? You can't explain what it is, but you can sense that there is a light of consciousness. There is a presence.
Right.
An inherent sense of aliveness. Sometimes people can feel it with the entire body. The entire body is pervaded by a sense of aliveness. You are. All you. That's the ancient Greeks already said. Know thyself as the most important thing in life. Know thyself. And that refers to the deepest knowing yourself as consciousness. And then the person still operates for a while, and it operates actually much better when you're connected to that which transcends the past.
Right.
For those people who are comfortable with theistic language, you could say that connects you to God. That is a deeper connection to the source of all life. You're connected to that. I see the consciousness that you share with every human being. When you look at another human being, you interact with another human being. On the one level, you have the personality, horizontal dimension, the conditioning, mental, emotional conditioning. You're interacting with a person, but you're also interacting with consciousness.
Yes.
Which is beyond the person. And when you can sense the consciousness that you are is also the consciousness that the other person is, you can sense the oneness of that consciousness. And that sensing of oneness is ultimately the deeper meaning of love.
Right.
Love is to recognize the other as ultimately one with who or what you are. The recognition. I would say love is the recognition of oneness. It's not the egoic love that says, I need you, don't you dare leave me, because if you do, I'll hate you.
Right.
It's not that, it's the egoic so-called love. But the real love is to recognize yourself in the other. But in order to do that, you need to first recognize yourself in yourself beyond the person. So,
did you hear that?
And that connects you
Many
with
people
other
don't even know
humans
what that
in a
is.
very different way.
They'll be like,
The
"What's
sense
that?"
of connectedness that you then have.
Yes.
It's the word for it, what could you has been, there's a goodwill flows out from you towards others. Even others that you might only meet casually for a few seconds. You can sense an outflow of goodwill and connectedness and feel so good to recognize there is a human being. My interpretation of human being is the English language doesn't have a word that refers to both men and women, so you have to say human being. in German, you have a word Mensch, which is a human being, could be either man or woman.
Here's why Facebook ads, organic content, and cold direct messaging strangers don't work for you if you are a coach or a consultant. The reason why is that you're interrupting.
It's because your art is interrupting me. That's the only reason.
The human dimension is the past.
Why?
The horizontal dimension.
Why are you?
The being is the essence of who you are. And it's our destiny to recognize our being, which is far beyond the past. And then you become, this is the human, and this is the being. And then you are a true human being when you realize the being of yourself, because then you sense it in others too. And then you can love others. That's the beauty of it.
You mentioned love just now. I'm curious about
Then you can love others.
when you feel the most when you're going about your day. When
We are
do you
struggling
feel
to even
the
love
most
ourselves genuinely
personally?
nowadays, people. Not to mention loving others. People doing fake self-love,
Don't make
buying dresses
differentiate
and just
between
showing up,
being loved. It's
doing
all-
everything
it's
to
all
look
one.
beautiful. That's far from
So,
self-love. That's just you
I
doing
feel
whatever
that
to look anyhow.
The connection is there the moment I interact with somebody. There is that connectedness, and sometimes
Don't worry,
people
I'm not saying I am
respond
self-love
something
master. I'm
within that
learning.
response
So
back,
just
and then
calm
you get
down,
the
guys.
same
Take a deep
energy
breath.
back. They may not know
Relax
why.
and drink water,
Or
please.
let's say you're in a restaurant, and I'm in the restaurant and I'm ordering. Waitress comes, and so you have, on the one hand, on the human level, you are the guest or the client of the restaurant, and this person is the server. That's on the human level, you have your identity. But is that all there is? No. There is, the server is, well, this is only a temporary function. That's not the real identity of this human being. And I'm not, well, my identity is not to be a client or guest of this restaurant.
Right.
It's a temporary thing. So am I able to recognize the being in this human? The human is the server, but behind that there's a being. And when I look at this person, and there's a really, let's see if I can describe it, how I experience it. There's this, while the person talks to me, there's a still presence. I listen through the still presence. In that still presence, I can sense beyond the human, the beingness of the other also. I can sense their beingness. And that is the connection. And then it sometimes happens that they can feel something, that they feel acknowledged. They may not be able to interpret that in it, or they may misinterpret
Without you saying
it.
anything. Without you saying anything.
No,
yeah.
nothing to say. And so usually it means that they like you. They feel attracted to you. They love you as a person. They like to be in your presence. There's a positive response. And that is, one could say, that is love coming back at you. So you send it out, and you don't always get it back. Sometimes the person may be so deeply trapped in their ego that nothing much gets through. And that's fine. That's where they're at the moment. But it still feels good to feel this emanation. But very often when the emanation is reflected and then comes back, and then you feel loved too. Of course, usually the other person doesn't understand it at a deeper level, doesn't understand that what they love in you is not the person, it's something
Right.
deeper and that connects both of you. So I feel it's always, the process is always mutual. I feel even when you love a flower, even the flower, there's a certain, this might sound a little mystical, but there's a certain response that you get. The way I put it, sometimes when I recognize and appreciate the beauty of a tree or a flower, this is similar because even the flower of the tree is a manifestation of consciousness. at a different vibrational frequency from a human. So everything is a vibration of consciousness that has taken temporary form. So the flower, the tree are also a vibration of consciousness. When I recognize and appreciate the beauty of the flower or the tree, there is a sense of oneness, and in that moment the tree can sense that it is being recognized, and it becomes aware of its own beauty through you. So you redeem nature, you add something to nature by recognizing the sacredness and beauty of nature. You add something to nature.
Wow.
And then we can
Oh
say
my
nature
God.
loves you back too. You can sense
Wow, it's
that.
beautiful.
It's painful.
So I sometimes recommend people should go
I'm
to a
tired and
tree
it's painful
and
and
allow
I'm
the tree to
tired.
teach you stillness, because the tree is there. It's deeply rooted in the earth, in its branches, and it's very still. It might have been there for 100 years, 200 years, very still. You approach it, and nature can teach you, anything in nature can teach you that the stillness connect you with the dimension that's beyond egoic consciousness.
Wow. This is beautiful, Eckhart. Is there anything that you struggle with these days personally? Is there, you've done this work and practiced it and taught it for so long. Is there anything you struggle or suffer with in your own life that is still a challenge?
Oh, there are challenges. I'm not good at dealing with practical things so much anymore of life. Financial things and so on can feel as a bit of a burden sometimes.
Yeah.
The humans are, but otherwise there's no suffering. I don't have periods of suffering at all. It's gone. The humans have just being and doing is another way of putting it. The being dimension is the vertical, the doing dimension is the horizontal. The two are important. Some humans are more drawn towards doing, creating, manifesting.
Yes.
Others are more drawn towards being, appreciating what is, and may not have many goals to achieve. They might be happy doing their garden, their field, Vermont. And every human has to find a kind of balance between being and doing. Nobody probably is completely in the middle. It's very hard
painful.
to be
It's
completely
painful.
in the middle. You're totally balanced between being and doing. I'm always more inclined to
Extremely
being
painful,
dimension.
guys. Why?
And for a few years, when I
Extremely
was younger,
painful.
I experienced a kind of awakening. I
Extremely
was kind
painful.
of so much in the being
Thank you.
dimension that I lost interest in any kind of doing. for a few
Extremely
years.
painful. I even forget
So
about you
restaurant
guys.
was so joyful
You guys are still here.
and I had no money.
Now I'm gonna do a little
nothing
bit
for a while. I had no home.
with
But it was
my
lovely just
arms.
sitting on park
So I look
benches.
like that too, and then that's
Present
it.
moment was so
So now,
fulfilling.
lady,
And then gradually, I was able to start
why?
doing again. And
So now,
now I
lady.
am still, I love just
Gi nga interview
to
bi
be, just
ñaari
to
waxtu la
be,
ak lu teg.
contemplate nature,
te interview bi léegi mu jeex.
just to sit in a room and just
te
be.
depuis ma commencé laa ko teg ba tey.
But
mooy ne ñaari waxtu laa
but
exercise.
I'm
How?
able to do because I wrote the books, I do teachings, I travel.
This
So I
interview is 2 hours
give talks
and it's nearly
retreats.
finished.
So
that
I am
means I've been
doing,
on. I'm gonna exercise 2 hours.
I'm able to function on that level. But the irony is that all my doing is in the service of teaching.
Don't think it's a
being.
joke there. I'm sweating that. It's not a
That's
joke.
great.
I've been sweating
So
since
you
then.
do for a week, and then you're like, I'm going to go be for a month.
So my arms again, I'm gonna do more. My
That's
arms.
amazing. Eckhart, I want to be respectful of your time. I have two final questions, kind of quicker questions for you. But before I ask those, I want people to get your books. Again, The Power of Now is one that I read many years ago that I highly recommend to everyone. And also this book as well, which is
I don't know how to do this move correctly, but if I know how to do it,
like it's got this resurgence, even though
I'll move.
it's 15
All
years.
my body will be gone. Especially my
Like
arms.
Oprah said, if you only read one book in your
I
life,
think it's like
read,
that.
read A New Earth.
A New Earth, Awakening to Your Life's Purpose.
Like
So
a
make sure you
snake.
guys get both copies. Start on whichever one you want.
Like a crazy dragon.
Also, if
Like a
people want
fat
to
dragon.
interview, they can go to your website.
Why?
We'll have everything linked up as well in here, and you're starting to get more content on social media. So make sure to follow Eckhart over on YouTube and all the different platforms that you're on.
Hello.
And I really want to acknowledge you before I ask
Why
you
are you?
for your level of service. Again, you could be 24/7 and sit in the woods and in the room and be a happy human being, just being. You've already done so much for humanity with your work, your message, workshops, and everything you've done. So I acknowledge you for continuing to be of service, continuing to serve when you choose to, when you show up, when you deliver, when you're coming on here and doing this. I know this is going to reach millions of people over time and impact them profoundly. So I'm very appreciative and grateful to you for being
Yeah, he's amazing.
of love, generosity, of kindness, and teaching those who are struggling and suffering.
Bisa exercise na. That's a tanki ni. Di ko yukati ni. Ni.
So they can be peaceful and in harmony in the now. So I really want to acknowledge you.
Boobi fay defar sa kàpp yëpp pare sa graisse tanki yëpp la koy dindi. Defar ko tanki su mel ni xoogi laax noonu xooxi laax noonu. Gereex yooyu di ci ne mel ni xooxi laax yëpp lay dindi. Why?
I'd like for you to imagine, even though you never imagine the future that much because you're always in the now, but I'd like you to go there for a moment and imagine
Ngi mel ni ñu may seetaan ay ngaana yu si butu lañ. Wallaay wallaay. Why?
for whatever reason,
Talu ma jël nit. Ma war a jekkali sama exercise bi te dem sangu ji. Pare gu ma ba tey de.
it's got to go with you to the next place or it's just not in this
Waaye li si des
world.
bëriwul waaye
So
pare
the
gu ma de.
books, this interview, any workshop you've done online, it's we don't have access to. But you get to leave behind 3 lessons to the world, 3 truths that
Listen
you
to
know are
this
true
part.
for you. And this is all we would have, be reminded of your messages. What would be those 3 truths for
Listen
you?
to that.
Well, ultimately, the truth, the ultimate truth is one, and so you can then out of the one, so you
No
can
one.
extrapolate, and several other truths may
No
arise
way.
out of one. The ultimate truth is realize who or what you are. Realize that you are, in essence, not a person. You are consciousness. You're a manifestation of universal consciousness. You are the universe experiencing itself as a human. You are the consciousness of the universe experiencing itself briefly, but you are far beyond. Realize who or what you are beyond the person. So that's the ultimate truth. Then realize that you are not the ego that is discovering who or what you are not. And realize the possibility of living without suffering, the suffering that's created by the human mind, the possibility of being free of suffering, free of unhappiness. And the way towards that is radical acceptance of the isness of the present moment. The radical acceptance of the isness of now, that will take you to a deep place of realization of who or what you are, and you're not the ego. Realizing who you're not is an important part of it's kind of negative realization, who you are not. Once you realize who or what you are ultimately not, then who or what you are emerges naturally.
That's beautiful. Final question for you, Eckhart. What is your definition of greatness?
Well, of course, as you know, one can give many, many definitions according to one's level of consciousness, but at the deepest level, greatness is, again, when you go to the deepest level, the answer is always the same, by the way. Greatness is to to live consciously, to embody consciousness in this lifetime, to embody the unconditioned consciousness in this lifetime. That is greatness. And then other things arise out of that. You affect the world in many different ways by living as consciousness and consciously rather than as an egoic entity. So then you begin to change the world, even if you don't say, I am going to change the world. It happens organically and naturally. And the way in which you experience the world is always a reflection of your state of consciousness. So you begin to experience a different world when you are aligned with what I call the unconditioned consciousness. That is who or what you are in your essence. That is the greatness is to have fulfilled your purpose in this incarnation on this earth. And that is to be part of the evolving consciousness of the universe. That is greatness, to have fulfilled your purpose. And all the outer conditions are secondary. And you could have fulfilled your purpose even in the prison cell when you come to this realization.
4 things you want to change: how you act. How do you act? Do you complain? Do you blame? Do you make excuses? You feel sorry for yourself? That's a victim consciousness. What emotions do you live by? Is it possible that you're so used to living by guilt you don't even know it's guilt? It just feels like you. Do you allow your energy to drop? Become conscious of those states of mind.
The best morning routine for manifesting more money is an alpha.
It's my dream to know how to do that comfortably without just jumping and scaring you guys. Bear with me. Oh my God. A lot of you be like, what the hell was that? It's my dream to know how to do that without even scaring you guys. I'm getting there slowly. I'll do it properly soon, inshallah. Without having to scare you guys. Loolu si suma géej si suma lifin la bokk dream ni ñu waxee dream si hangale maanaam si li ma bëgg a def si àdduna loolu si la bokk mën naa ko waaye dama ko di ragal a def so léegi every day naa ko try every day suma exercise ba pare ma def ni ëlbatiku nii you know comme nu ma def nii léegi oh my God waaye xam naa ragal ngeen de ma jékki-jékki rek tëb ëlbatiku ragaloon ngeen wala oh my God ma jékki-jékki rek tëb ëlbatiku loolu dama ko bëgg a man inshallah bravo jërëjëf xaw nag leneen loo si teg noonu xaw li dukaan hello Ramu Roman sorry what do you mean help us please what do you mean help you with what sa xaw ma lan bi xaw ma yombu na no yombu de fa fekk ma exercise ba pare man booba tàmbali ba léegi xëpp na 2 waxtu xam nga kañ laa tàmbali booba juróom-ñetti waxtu genn wàll moo jot booba juróom-ñeenti waxtu jotagutoon mat na 2 waxtu bi ko interview bi ma doon déglu nii 2 waxtu la ak lu teg sax ma seet interview bi ma doon déglu nii ok 1 waxtu ak genn wàll la sorry so ma commencé léegi 1 waxtu ak genn wàll waaye loolu baax na ba tey 1 waxtu ak genn wàll yëpp ma exercise ko that's good ma ko jaawaleeg beneen interview nga xam ne 2 waxtu la xam ngeen ñooñ fu ma leen dégloo ko in case ngeen bugg faa daan taxew ñooñ fu ma leen dégloo ñoo tudd School of Greatness la ñooñ tudd ñooñ School of Greatness boobu oy ma tànki la exercise ba tey de School of Greatness boobu taxaw leen de pareeguma de gi nga nu ma ekkati suma tànki ëlbati loolu ma ko bëgg a man School of Greatness boobu ñooñu loolu lu baax rek lañ dee jàngal nit ñi waaye àngale la ñuy wax mooy problème bi ñu ngi YouTube dem leen fa ngeen di leen déglu waaw lu bari liñ lay wax ci ay book la dee nekk soo bëggatee read book bi nga dégg ko si ñoom wax bo am nga read tam is more knowledgeable ngay read tam damay ñëw dem guys may ñëw fay caméra ba pare def lu ma doon def noonu di ëlbatiku fokk suma musóor gis ma bopp bi am ngelaw African clothes lan what about African clothes nga ne African clothes lan business xawma lan okay guys ba si kanam handle leen jàmm have a good day guys I'm gonna continue to try to do see how I just roll over like that I'm gonna try to do it a couple of times I want to practice it I should watch on YouTube how to do it properly by the way I do it my own way so for sale yes what about it I still have African clothes you can message me here or email me amihol@gmail.com so yeah I want to do more of that and I want to take out my hair tie and have some air on my hair and stuff before I go and shower so I'll see you guys I might come back later on to do attire/selling video okay maybe danaa ñëw si kanam ma def jaay ak attire video okay guys so yeah xendu leen jàmmu ku mënta def yu may def nii yëpp nga tànn si nga mën nga di ko def wala ngay jóg di dox tëdd si suuf si wala nga toog si muy suufi saleñ la wala suuf si xam ñax ni fa baax si wér gu yaram lool baax si sa xel mi baax si sa wér gu yaram baax si sa nelaw baax si sa xalaat positif daf dee tax nga grounded doylu si àdduna happy bugg àdduna in a positive way not fake bugg àdduna maanaam fay tax nga doyloo àdduna si natural bagage si yàlla yi sant si yàlla nit ñi soo gisee happy tuñ léegi fa ñuy focus si ay matériel fàtte bagage yàlla yi maanaam ngelaw li ngay nokkeek taw beeg ñax meeg even lekk yàlla yi nit ñi fañ ko xeeb léegi liñ bëgg mooy ay pizza ak lekk yu bon so doylu xoo si àdduna moo tax sa xel mi mel noonu fu mu jaar ngay ground nit ñaa koy jàngale ay heart grounding mooy daf lay connect ak yàlla maanaam ak suuf si ak bagage yi yàlla yi surtout boo gëmee yàlla ni nekk jullit it's very easy daf lay gën a grounded tax nga gën a gëm yàlla gëm àddunaam si in a healthy way nekkut on healthy way di wax ne xaar ma jënd lii pour nit ñi xam ne man la xaar ma def lii pour nit ñi xam ne man la non in a healthy way so please dee leen toog ci suuf si wala ngeen taxaw si bu fekkee bëgg leen a tëdd si suuf si but su dee lu ngeen sol du yére yu baax yoo xam ne fay yàqu te suuf si tilim fii daf dee taw saa yu ne nga tëdd soo paree nga sango yére yi nga koy fóot soo wat surtout boo exercise ni ba pare try leen ko dafa baax surtout su ngeen xamee mag boo xam ne dafa feebar na mag bi di jéem a dox lekk yu baax si yaram tëdd si suuf si wala mu toog si garabam yëpp dana ko sànni lu rek mooy garabam su mënatee xa dox lu sori maanaam su xëyee mu dox lu mat genn wàlli waxtu waaxu ba ñaq waaxu dëpp mën naa commencé di def fukki minute ba fukki minute ak juróom waaxu ba ñaq waaxu dëpp su dee ba miin ko dana mën a waaxu genn wàlli waxtu waaxu dëpp muy benn waxtu loolu mag mu ko miin su fekkee feebaram fa ko sonal ba mënta def loolu muy jéem a def yi may wone nii bu mënul yëpp sax bu mu def baax na bu mënul yëpp sax bu mu def baax na xam na beneen boo xam ne nii ngay def te boobu loo màggat mën nga ko maanaam su fekkee mënta nekk def lii nii te lii ku ne mën na ko léegi su mënut boobu xaaral woon la beneen bi xana boo xam ne nii ngay def soo defee nii ba pare dafa des na tànka mi dana mën a def nii su ko mënut mu tàllal nga def nii sa loxo boobu du ne rek fay dindi graisse yi badaay si de déedéet waaye fa lay yëngat yaa ngi yëngat sa yaram wi ci kaw te exercice bi foo ci mënti yëngat rek baax na kon nag bu dee tànk yi fa bañ su dee mënoo koo def nii nga toog tàllal sa kaw lal sax mën nga def nii loo def rek baax na def nii loo def rek defal dara rek defal dara rek defal dara rek na yaram bi yëngatu rek ba sonne tànk yi tamit lu bari nga mën a def even si kawlal bi bot su fekkee mënoo def yu ma la won nii yëpp ah xaw ma nooy def kon mooy ne borom fa feebar ba ëpp mënta yëngatu waaw waaye ay feebari tànk yu métteeg nangam borom na jënd vitamine D di ko naan jënd ay collagène ay vitamine D fish oil bu dee duy lekk jën surtout bu dee mu ngi bitim réew duy xam jën yu baax wala du koy lekk lu bari na jënd fish oil vitamine D vitamine C su dee yaa ngi bitim réew surtout ku xam tànk yu métti tane bitim réew doo mën a nekk di frenkulaayu wala def yenn yëngatu yi bi ko sa tànk yi jëndal vitamine D vitamine E vitamine C vitamine E what's the word vitamine D maanaam vitamine E xaw ma ne danga ko dee xam si per foog naa diw la dee gën a nekk waaye foog naa danga ko dee xam si per tam I don't know but don't worry about that vitamin but vitamine D vitamine fish oil diwi jën fish oil Afrique dañ ko daan jox xale yi mu tudd cod liver oil xam na cod liver oil ak fish oil waaye yëpp benn la daanaka li ñu wutee bëri nga jënd original bu baax bi bu jënd yu bon yi de fa xam yu féeg yu yomb yu bon nga jënd vitamine E nga jënd collagène yooyu yëpp utal yu baax yi sorry vitamine D vitamine C vitamine D surtout boo neexee bitim réew vitamine C vitamine D bi ko bitim réew xamuñ vitamine C yu bëri ak vitamine D yu bëri surtout boo neexee fu sedd mel ni fu ma ne ni Scotland dégg nga vitamine C vitamine D collagène fish oil nga jënd yooyu mooy cod liver oil ñeent yooyu black seed oil nga jënd ko mu juróom put leen benn bu ne bu baax ba nga jënd ko bu jënd yu yomb yu bon yi te xam ne foo kër gooy tabax yére yu seer yooy jënd biye màkka booy xam sa wér gu yaram moo ko ëpp doole kon nag lu tax boo waree jënd lu baax ci yow nga ne lii fa seer yow wéroo yaa gën a seer loolu kuy wax loolu ku ne wéru you know yow yaa gën a seer loolu xamuleen loolu ñun nit ku ñuul na loolu rek lañ man dem jënd yére yu seer jënd or jënd oto te boo waree jënd lu baax sa wér gu yaram nga ne loolu fa seer boo waree lekk sax nga ne lekk gi lii fa seer te baaxul dem jënd lu yomb te bon jënd diw gu yomb te bon ngay feebar dee sa xalal yeeg sa bagage yëpp nga bëgg soo xamee xoom yu métti ferenkulaay sax doo ko man tëb doo ko man dox doo ko man dara doo ko man parce que sa xoom yi fa ñuy métti xoom yu métti yi man xamoon naa ko soo doon woori bul wane ami xamoo li ngay wax man xam naa li may wax laajal nit ñi fii gis nañ ma bi ma doon xamee xoom yu métti ma leen ko doon wax nit ñi xam nañ ma booba duma mën a def nii xalaatuma tëb yi may def nii duma ko mën ma ne man de gaaw naa xam màggat ñeent fukki at rek laa xam suma xoom yi bañ ndekete xoo xaaju maa màggat de xoom yu métti yi nit ñi fañ koy gaaw am lekk yu bon yi stress ñàkka laalante bu doy surtout bu fekkee ki ngay laalante du xamee wér gu yaram waxuma ngay laalante koo xam ne fa feebar di la ko wàll ngay gën a feebar déedéet waaye laalante ak koo xam ne dara jotu ko sa jëkkët dara jotu ko day joxe wér gu yaram di tax ngay xam vitamine yi nga soxla sa yaram wi ak ngay flexible xam nga exercise la laalante ci boppam exercise la subhanallah ñàkk yooyu yëpp ñàkk vitamine C mooy lekk vitamine yi jógee ci lekk yu baax yi ay saraas ak yooyu ñàkk jën fa baax si yaram fa xam lu muy def ci nit surtout jën bu xam diw jën bu la gën a bari diw rek gën a baax si yaram li ma leen di wax nii ndax yéen a ngi koy dégg wala lan lu xam fayda laa leen di wax nii de ñàkk vitamine D mooy vitamine bi ngay jógee jëlee ci naaj wi nga dëkk foo xam ne xam na naaj ngay daw naaj wala ngay liggéey dooy gis naaj wala nga ne foo xamul naaj jëndal vitamine D jënd vitamine C jënd lu tudd black seed oil soo xamul tur bi nga bind ma danaa la ko ku xam tur bi na ko bind ndax yéen kenn ci yéen mën na maa dimbali bind li may wax nii yëpp vitamine yi may tudd nii maa ngi koy tudd si ku ko bugg a nataal mu nataal ko lijjanti ko vitamine D vitamine C fish oil wala cod liver oil taxawal nga bindandoor ko yëpp nit ñi danañ ko nataal dégg nga black seed oil dégg nga moringa tam mën nga koo jënd boo ko xamul moringa mooy sunguf njuumi nebe daay témorik bu nete boobu sungu su nete soos daqaar sax fa baax si yaram dégg nga ko buy baobab dégg nga ko basaab hibiscus yii yëpp nga xame ko di ko yuus di ko naan di ko lekk chia seed nga di ko lekk cod liver oil yi nga di ko naan kuddu wala bu dee per la nga lifin ko waaye bu kuddu xam na nga di ko naan kuddu bët bu set yii yëpp nga di ko def yi ma la wax ni yëpp tey yëngatu di dox boole si tey nelaw yu doy nelaw yi lii tax doo ko mën a def mooy su waxtu nelaw jotee rek sa problème yëpp ñëw moo tax ma pilee góor gi tey ngeen dégg ko góor gi soo koy déglu dana wecci sa àdduna pa am ay bukk sax yoo xam ne bu koy riib ci bukkam yi wala yeneen bukk yi dana wecci sa àdduna su waxtu tëdd jotee rek sa problème yëpp nga di ko xalaat li nga xam ak li nga xamul gune yee xaalis ak nangam suma jëkkër wala suma jabar wala suma lii wala suma laan déedéet waxtu tëdd bu jotee ngay bàyyi problème àdduna si yëpp tëdd nokki sant yàlla te nelaw boo yëngatu fay tax nga am nelaw yu doy sa yaram yi fay sonn mën a nelaw sa immune système bi fay actif yaa ngi koy yëngat di ko yuus waaye sa immune système bi bu gaaree rek doo ko yëngat doo ko jox lekk yu baax fay gaare fay paan gaare toog dem liggéey ñëw rek doyut yëngatu bi ngay yëngat sa yaram yi fa xuute ak dem liggéey ñëw booy liggéey sax defal stretch mooy maanaam fuddu waaw kon yeneen exercice yi mën a won nii ne la comme ngay def nii def nii whatever just def squat tuuti def stress sa yaram bi ci suuf comme nu ma tëddeewoon ci suuf def nii anything loo def rek baax na suñ fukki minutes sax yéen nga def loo soo xëyee ba pare soog a dem liggéey stretch properly dem liggéey soo wàccee tamit soo sangoo ba def yëpp su waxtu ngoon jotee mën ngaa stretch again su fekkee ne des na benn waxtu wala ñaar bala ngaa nelaw nga stretch loolu nelaw yu baax ngay xam surtout boo stretchee ba pare sangu julli ñaan def yëpp jàpp si yàlla ngay tëdd ngay xam nelaw nga teel a nelaw bul di toog ay benn waxtu ñaar ñetti waxtu nga toog ko ñaari waxtu non del nelaw loolu boo koy def soo feebaree sa feebar bi yëpp ay wét garab du la faj parce que yàlla garab mënul laa faj konoon faju nga ñaata nit a fii naan garab junni at nañu ci yàlla musul ci naanam garab waaye garab du faj kenn ak ki feebaram xaaral ma wax loolu xam na yenn feebar yoo xam ne soo tëbee rek ba garab gi du baax waaye feebar yu bëree lay ko borom xam-xam seeni borom buñ jàngee li ma lay wax nit ñi di ko def ba ñuy wét ba sànni garab ga keneen ka nga xam ne du ko def continuer garab ga di ko naan te fekk benn feebar bee leen dal feebar ba lu mu mënti doon ak lu ci bëri telling you this moo tax ma di leen ko fàttali maa ngi ñëw dem dégg ngeen xendu leen jàmm jërë ngeen jëf I'm gonna tell you what I was saying quickly in case you're still watching and you don't understand what I'm saying. What I was saying is us, especially us black people, African black people, a lot of us, we rather buy some gold or fake something that look like gold, or we rather buy some long hair, or we rather buy skin bleaching, especially West African, Gambia and Senegal women and other West African women that love skin bleaching. They rather buy, no matter how expensive clothes, expensive whatever, to make themselves feel good. But they cannot buy something that is good for their health. Listen to this, the health. They don't care about the health. Even if they're cooking, they would rather buy the cheapest oil that is 1 pound in the supermarket, frying cooking oil, They rather buy the cheapest sunflower oil ever instead of the most expensive olive oil. They will see the two like this and they will pick the 1 pound oil to go and buy and fry the whole oil, I like eating too. But at least I try to listen to experts. And no, okay, I like eating, but I have to be careful. I don't want to die just because of food, What the hell? So at least if you like eating, that's fine. But at least pick the olive oil. Don't look at it and be like, oh, the olive oil is £5, £7, hey, £10. No. This one, £2, £1. Yeah. What the hell? So they will even tell you that when they cook with the olive oil, it's not nice. I swear to God. They will tell you when they cook the Gambian jollof rice, Benachin, Senegalese chef, with the olive oil. That's not nice. It doesn't taste good. So they will use the £1 cancer-causing oil to cook it. And that's a lie, by the way. It tastes good. I cook Benachin with olive oil over the years since I know the other oil is not good to cook with. And it's good. It tastes good. You don't need all that lot of oil anyway. But anyway, even if you're going to use it, buy it. It's worth it. Your money cannot keep you alive. No matter how much gold you have, even if they're real gold. No matter how much houses and car and clothes you have. Handbags and all this expensive stuff. Expensive shoes. You're still going to die the hell. Sick the hell if you are not well. You have to buy olive oil. Even if it's £10 olive oil, £20, you buy it. It's more important than all of these things. Buy this olive oil. When you go to the supermarket, buy at least some organic olive oil or just extra virgin olive oil. Stop cancer-causing oil all the time and cooking it every day. And then, I don't want to focus on the eating part too much, on the oil thing and stuff too much. But also try not to eat rice every day and stuff, That's what I'm doing now. And if you must eat rice every day, don't cook it with bad oil every day, like often. Okay, I'm going to leave that to that. The next thing is, if you have like sore knee, you cannot even sit like this because your knees are painful. And you just cannot exercise, certain things because of your knees. You cannot even walk. Doesn't matter what age you are not well. That's why your knees are like that. Especially if you are 40, just 40 years old or 50. You shouldn't have this knee pain at all. I'm telling you this, listen to this. I have this knee pain before, so I know what I'm talking about. I have it. Don't say that, Amy, you don't know this, you don't have it. I have it before. Ask my viewers. From nowhere, I have this knee pain. I'm like, what the hell? I couldn't do this. I couldn't exercise. I couldn't even walk a lot. Just my knees like a 90-year-old, unhealthy 90-year-old. Some 90-year-old can walk from here to 10 kilometers. I saw them here in Scotland and everywhere, the healthy 90-year-olds. I'm not saying normal 90-year-old. I'm talking about the unhealthy, sick 90-year-old because they're eating unhealthy and not moving and not thinking positive and not having enough sleep and enough food, good food in their body for years until their body collapse. Those are the type of 90-year-old I'm talking about. So I was like that. My knees I cannot do stuff. I was like, what the hell? Even when I'm walking, that time I was working in the hotel. No, I started it before the hotel job. And then I got the hotel job, which is even worse. I was like, what the hell? When I finish work, I'm crying. Like, I can't even walk home or walk to the bus stop. I went to the doctor here. I even told my followers about it that time. They saw me in the video going to the doctor. I told them I'm going for my knee. I went and I finished and I told them for them to learn from. The doctor, you know what the doctor tell me? The doctor tell me nothing is wrong with you. Go and lose weight and eat healthier. I respect that doctor. The doctor tell me go and lose weight and eat healthier. Go and do swimming. Don't do running. Do swimming or walking and other exercise. And stop eating, too much unhealthy food and going crazy. I was like, oh, well, thank you very much. He didn't tell me it like this, but he tell me it in a nice way, of course. He checked my knee, check, do like this, check, check. And he told me you have to go and do these things. Nothing is wrong with you. Go and do these things. And my daughter said, oh my God, this man shouldn't say this. this man have to give you medicine or something, or just, did they not give you anything? I said, no. Out yesterday after that, haven't slept at all. Will I be okay? Yes, you'll be okay. Pain. Oh, sorry. Again, yes. Okay, if you just walk out and you're not used to it. Sorry, I don't mean to laugh like that. I'm thinking myself, I was like that when I first started working out. I still have those days sometimes, you know, when I do like good 2 hours of serious workout. Sometimes I do like good, not serious, but you know my workout. Sometimes I do like 2 hours or 1.5 hours. Today I did 1.5 hours, yeah. But now my body is getting used to it because this is the month number 4 now since I started. So my body is getting used to it. But sometimes when it's pain, you can't sleep. So what you're going to do is you have a warm bath, put some little bit of lavender, sea salt if you can, you know. Lie in the bath if you have a bath. Drink painkillers, but drink bui as well. Don't rely on painkillers a lot. You just use it for now if you can't sleep, you know, with the pain. But drink bui, which is hibiscus. You make a cup of hot water, put some hibiscus powder in it. Or you put the hibiscus powder in the cup first. Put a little bit of hot water and mix it. And add more hot water. And then put 2 tablespoons of honey. Try to buy raw honey. Organic honey. You will sleep. You drink that in the evening before sleep. There's no medicine. The only medicine is you keep going. But try to rest. If the pain is too much, rest for like 1 or 2 days. And when you start again, do less. Don't do as much as you did the last time they gave you the pain. Do half of what you did. Whatever you did, half it in the middle. And keep going. Another 3 days. And then you take a break again 1 or 2 days. Keep going again another 3 days. Take a break again 1 or 2 days. Keep going again another 3 days. If you do this, your body will be like getting better every time. You'll be like, what? All the pain will be gone. My muscle will, yes, it will grow even without sleep. No, you will sleep. The sleep will come. Don't worry. It's not like you're going to continue not sleeping. You will sleep. Even without sleep, my muscle will grow. I don't focus on growing muscle. I try to drink now this muscle thingy. What's it called? This body protein steak, you know, the one that bodybuilding people drink protein steak, but they drink something different. They drink this extreme stuff. I drink the normal one now, the chocolate flavor and vanilla flavor. They're nice. I have it like one scoop a day after exercise. I've been doing that now, yeah. So in case when I'm losing weight, I'm not gonna be like lose muscle and I don't have no muscle. I'm gonna be like an old woman. So I'm trying to avoid that. But don't worry, you will sleep, yeah? Right now, just do half of whatever you did the last time. Drink a lot of water. Eat hibiscus, moringa, baobab. Avoid too much sugar. Drink, eat a lot of fruit and veg if you can. Avoid juice, fizzy drink. Avoid too much coffee. Avoid too much sugar. And just, you sleep. Don't keep telling yourself, oh, I can't sleep. Oh, my God, no. Just keep saying, I'm going to have a good sleep. Alhamdulillah, Rabbi Alamina. Meditate if you can. Do all of this. Oh, the birds. That's so cute. You sleep, yeah? Okay, I'm going to talk about what I was saying. Sorry, Kimune. Vitamin C, only fresh lemon is vitamin C. Yes, I know. You can buy it as well. Turmeric, hibiscus, moringa. Waa jërëjëf. Waa limon tam vitamin C la waaye xam nga limon bu bëri dafa des. Bu ko naan lu bëri waaye del naan limon. Man gëj naa ko naan fàttali nga ma ko sax danaa ko naan tey kaas nga nal ci genn wàlli limon ci kaas bi na def ci ndox naan ko fa baax surtout suba teel nii bala ngaa lekk comme maanaam su ma demee ci néeg bi nii man naan ko waaw su ma paree naan suma protein shake protein shake bi moom laa dee ndekkee lu ci bëri ndekki salaas xañ mooy maanaam suma exercice pare ni léegi moom laa commencé man naan ci benn kaas ba pare léeg-léeg man naan ko ba pare lekk salaas wala xaal wala leneen lu ma am léeg-léeg ma toog noonu rek léeg-léeg nga baxal nen ñaari nen lekk ko bu ci def mburu de baxal ñaari nen yi noonu rek mu nekk sa ndékki ak sa xañ mook protein shake bi soo pare nag mën nga cee teg café wala tii toog noonu nag ba reer na nga teel a reer juróom benni waxtu yooyu rek boo ko mënee wala juróom yenn yi sax ñeenti waxtu bu dee li ngay lekk maalo la ceeb boo namee ceeb torop toog nga ay fan lekk ko wala semaine mën nga koo lekk man nga ko lekk benn fan ñaar nga toogaat lu mat semaine doo ko lekk nga lekkaa ko benn fan ñaar toogaat lu mat semaine doo ko lekk soo ko mënee def noonu tey def yi ma la wax ni si la sa yaram wi gën a gaaw a wàññeeku waaye nag bu fekkee mënoo koy ngay lekk ceeb bi kon defal boo lekkee tey ceeb ëllëg bu ko lekk wala nga lekk ko tey ñaari fan tey suba gannaaw ëllëg si nga toog ñaari fan bu ko lekkaat di lekk ay salade wala végétable incha allah yàlla baax na ñebe sax lu baax la waaye diw gu bëri gi nga siy def moo baaxul ak mburu moo baaxul waaye ñebe bi nga baxal ko noonu rek lekk ko lu baax si yaram la dafay joxe fanu gudd wér gu yaram war ngaa mën a reeree ñebe nga baxal ñebe bi rek lekk ko noonu lakk jën lekk koog moom mbala booy fray jën yi sax oytu leen diw gu bon gi yaa ngi dem jëm ok man exercice naa ba pare la ok ba si kanam si yaa Fatou ngay dem jëm moom it te Fatou de yaramam mi soxla wut jëm sax de waaye mu ngay dem jëm xam naa man lay gis may exercice xat yi yëpp ici moo tax aadi it fu mu toll mu ngi yëngatu fay baax de boo koy def sa doom yi sax nga leen di motiver what was I'm saying waaw lii man defoon naa ko ay xat ba suma yaram wi ne coj xaaral ma won la nataal bi rek su ma la ko wanee ba tey doo ko gëm te man mii nit ñi foog ne may caaxaan ci lii moo yaram bi duma ko mën a wàññi yàgg naa ko waxta wàññeeku parce que néew moon di ko jël sérieux boobu ba tey dama dee commencé bàyyi waaye fi mu ne nii nga xam ne pare naa pour jël ko sérieux xool ma lii man la gannaaw ma wàññee suma yaram wi te fekk suma yaram wi moo xëppoon nu ma xem nii nag bu ma koy tàmbali maa xëppoon nu ma xem nii fi mu ne nii ma wàññi ko xem nii ndax dégg nga li ma lay wax ana nataal bi ni ma xemoon bala ma koo wàññi maa xamoon yaram ba nataal rek laa doon bañ su may jël nataal fii rek laay jël ci kaw ana nataal ba maa xëppoon nu ma xem nii nataal ba du ful nataal waaye ba ko xoolee ba tey da nga xam ne maa amoon yaram gisoo ko nii laa xemoon xam nga nii moo ëpp nu ma xem nii de nataal yi fañ ko dagg waaye danga ko gis ci kanam gi rek ma wàññi ko ba mu xem ni ma la wonoon noonu maa ko tey maa paree gutoon fi mu ne nii nu ma demee ba détermine di siye nii incha allah seetaan ma fi balaa ñuy wax benn xat ñaar nga xool gis nga ni ma xema ma wàññi ko ba mu xem nii lii man la gannaaw nataal bi ma la woon bu rëy boobu si laa xem nii ni ma melee ni gune gu ndaw rek nit ñi ma wax naa mënuma wàññi suma te naanuma benn garab lii yëpp billahi wallahi ak lu may wut ci àdduna yàlla bu ma ko xam suma doom sax lu mu yaakaar bu mu ko xam bu dee garab moo ma tax a mel nii lii yëpp li may def nii rek moo taxoon ma mel nii guys li may def nii yëngatu xam ni ngay lekkee ak naan ndox mu bëri wàññi ay juus yeeg suukar su bëri nga wàññi ko daal loolu rek moo ma jëlee woon ci nataal bu ma la won nii léegi bu rëy boobu ak nit ki nataal boobu nag xam nga tax ma naqadi ma dugutoon fuul nataal moo ma naqadi time boobu fuul nataal rek laay bañ maa ngi xamee yaram wi ma jëlee woon ci aadi ak yaram wi ma jëlee woon ci faatu parce que aadi ak faatu magante woon lu bëri ñaari at sax matu ko liñ magante plus man maa yàgg a nekk borom yaram nag maa yàgg a nekk borom yaram suma yaay laa nuru ak suma maam waaye bala bu ma doon ñëw fii xemu ma woon noonu de ni nataal bu ma la mujjee woon nii déedéet waaye xew ma woon nii xëppoon naa nii ma ñëw xam faatu yàggu rek ma xam aadi continuer yaram woowu nag ma xeex ak moom mu deñ man maa toogaat mbàppaaral di lekk ba melaat ni ma mel nii mbàppaaral di lekk lu ma neex te du ma yëngatu ba melaat nii man ami maa ko tey de fi mu ne jógaat naa di xare nag ak suma yaram wi xare badar boo xam ne laa neex ak moom léegi ma ne ko cocc bu soobee yàlla man nit ñu ma xëpp tam mag ma xam juróom fukki at wala lu ko teg fa ñuy wàññi seen yaram yi ba mel nii ba dàq nii gis naa leen ma leen di follow te ni may def nii la ñuy def duñ give up di yëngatu su métti sax nu kii waxee ne yaramam yi fay métti xam na ko bind fii mu ne yaramam yëpp ay métti fa commencé yëngatu waaye yaramam yi métti gi ngeen su ma ñëwee ne leen bës leen vidéo bi séddoo ko du caaxaan de jigéen ñu bari fa ñuy yëngatu ngir man ba wàññi seen yaram yi ba raw ma sax ngir man du caaxaan de jigéen ñi bëree ko bugga de góor ñu xam fayda sax fañ ko war a jóg di ko de fay joxe wér gu yaram fanu gudd tax nga xoyof rafet ku bañ loolu yëpp léegi sa yaram yi bu méttee mooy ne kon ngaa tëb def lu bëri ba ëpp te sa yaram yi miinu ko man li may def fa bëri ba ëpp ci ku tàmbali xees wax naa leen ko li may def bul tëb rek def ko fa bëri ba ëpp ci ku tàmbali xees loolu mooy dëgg gi benn waxtu ma koy set su benn waxtu bi ringee alam bi rek ma continuer ñëw fii continuer bul def loolu soo léegi yow li ngay def mooy genn wàlli waxtu rek ni ngay defee genn wàlli waxtu mooy maanaam lu may def boo koy defit nga xaaj ko bul def xam nga yu bëri ay téeméer laa koy def wala mu jege téeméer benn exercice bu ne léegi yow ngay def juróom fukk rek kon wala nga tànn si exercice yi may def ñett wala ñeent yu la neex nga def yooyu rek bul def yëpp man yi may def kenn xamul ñaata la ëpp na juróom sax di dem mbaa matut fukk sax fukk mat na ko fukki muuf mat na ko te benn muuf bu ne ma ciy def téeméer wala lu ko jege yéen yi fay ëpp téeméer sax ci li may def yéen boo yéen yi dama dee def ay juróom fukk rek sama sonnee si muuf bi waaye different muuf laa dee def muuf bu nekk danaa si def juróom fukk wala lu ko ëpp wala téeméer wala lu ko ëpp te lu mat fukki muuf yéen yi loolu laa dee def wala lu ko jege loolu yëpp doo ko mën a def yaa ngi tàmbali xees ngay commencé di def ay ñett wala ñeent nga tànn ko si yu may def yu la neex te yomb ci yow pour nga def ko ngay def yooyu soo defee genn wàlli waxtu rek nga ba man su ma continuer sax yow nga bàyyi bul forcer na nga stretch sa yaram bi nga bàyyi sa ëllëg sax su ma ñëwee nga def soo ma gisul sax yow nga def soo defee lu mat ñetti fan sa yaram bi suy métti nga noppaliku lu mat benn fan wala ñaar nga defaat léegi guddi gi sa yaram fay métti ba doo mën a nelaw soo ko tàmbalee xeet moom la jigéen jooj bi foog naa jigéen la ke bindu noonu yaram fay métti ba doo mën a nelaw nga naan paracetamol soo xamee baaf nga def ndox mi baaf si wanag bi tëdd si biir ndox mi ndox mu tàng xooju dégg nga na nga nekk di naan mbuumam nebedaay ak ndox mu tàng def ko kaas naan ko suba teel ak ngoon bala ngaa tëdd buy na nga ko def ak ndox mu tàng def ci lem naan ko ngoon bala ngaa tëdd paracetamol su métti ba métti nga naan ko pour mu dimbali la ci métti bi waaye man du may naan garab de waaye su ma tàmbalee exercice ba su ma yaram yi métti may naan paracetamol fay métti ba duma mën a nelaw su ma tàmbalee xees man mii loolu ñëpp la bul xaddi de ngay naan paracetamol jàpp si yàlla sangu jàpp si yàlla xalaat positif stress sa yaram bi relax ko bul nekk di téye sa yaram wi nii torop ñun ñu bëri dañ di am stress ba tax suñu yaram bi duñ ko relax fañ koy téye nii te duñ ko yëg xoolal sa yaram bi ndax yaa ngi ko relax wala yaa ngi ko téye relax sa yaram bi nga méditer wala jos sant yàlla bàyyi xalaat yi ngay xalaat problème bul nekk yoo naa du ma nelaw non waxal ne dinaa xam nelaw yu baax nga relax nokki ñàkk a nelaw téye sa nokki gi fa koy def te doo ko yëg stress bi ngay xam moo tax ngay téye sa nokki gi ikut bi stress yi gune xaalis problème yi sëy wala nangam wala lu nga dund si gannaaw I don't know wala di xalaat sa ëllëg torop wala su dee nga feebar ngay xalaat loolu torop I don't know just stress you know so bàyyi sa nokki gi mu relax ngay nokki properly surtout ngoon nga def mun naa ko téye lu gën a yàgg loolu bo anyway su ngeen bëggee ma def meditation ngeen waxal ma gëj naa ko de bot su fekkee yow mënoo téye sa nokki gi jël ngelaw téye ko sa biir dënn bi soo ko mënu xamal ne ngaa feebar wuu xamal ne sa dënn bi ak sa stress bi mu ngi lay waaj a rey xamal ne soo baxul rek léegi tey nga am heart attack lañ ci yàlla musal bot that's the truth so number one soo bëggee ceeg sa wér gu yaram jëlal sa nokki nga jël nokki gu bëri dugal ko nga seen na danga ko mën a téye sa dënn bi soo ko mënta téye muy métti sa dënn bi di lakk comfortable xamal ne ngaa feebar nga am stress nga focus di lekk-lekk yu baax si yaram di yëngatu di xalaat positif di nelaw di naan ndox incha allah say dënn bi dana dem ba di nga mën a jël ngelaw mu toog maanaam danga mën a def ni nga téye ko lu yàgg ba benn minute wala lu ko ëpp nga génnee ko te doo sonn bot yenn yi su fekkee ne téye nga ko te nekkul di lakk sa dënn bi di ko métti waaye just comfortable mooy ne rek miinoo ko so it's fine nanga ko nekk di practice waaye loolu nga ko war a man fay joxe wér gu yaram fan wu gudd fay tax nga xam nelaw yu bëri fay dindi stress boo xamul stress sax nga ko war a jàng man ko moo tudd deep breathing koo xamul stress sax fa koy def waaye ñu bëri xamuñ ko loolu yëpp luy joxe fan wu gudd ak wér gu yaram la luy tax nga relax nelaw surtout ngoon bala ngaa nelaw nga def ko ye mën ngaa tëdd si lal bi di ko def nga bàyyi sa yaram bi yëpp mu relax nga naan téye ko ba mu yàgg nga ne téye ko ba mu yàgg nga ne wala bu la neexee nga génneewaat ko fii di def xam nga lan you are medical now lii loo so ñàkk a nokki bu baax fay tax doo nelaw ñàkk a yëngatu fay tax doo nelaw léegi xaaral ma woon leen benn move boo xam ne soo xamee stress dëgg nga def ko dana la dimbale nga mën a nelaw ma woon leen loolu bala maa dem I'm gonna show you this move if you have a lot of stress that you can't even sleep you do this it's gonna help you or if you're just too tired but mainly for stress a lot of us have stress because of children money situation not healthy eating don't know how to regulate your stress and don't know how to think positive think about the yesterday too much think about the tomorrow too much not like the situation now children money health if you're not well or someone close to you not well all of that can stress you so I'll show you if you have stress what you can do so you can sleep at night so number one you can do so you can sleep at night lu ngay def ba tax nga mën a nelaw guddi boo xamee stress feeg nelawoo guddi sa stress bi du mas a dem until you sleep at night your stress will never go listen to me until you sleep at night until you eat healthy even if you don't eat fully healthy just add some healthy stuff at least until you drink enough water until you think positive especially in the evening or around evening until you know what to eat in the evening or around evening you will not sleep at night until you do these things that I'm telling you. Do you understand that? Do you know that? Okay. So now I'll show you these things. Let me say it in Wolof first. Feeg nelaw feeg li fi no xaaral ma dindi nit ñi bugg a dugg ni oh my god maa ngi leen di wax lii bala ma leen ko woon léegi déglu leen ma waxal leen lii feeg lekku leen lekk yu baax si yaram soo lekkut yëpp baax si yaram sax nga lekk gu baax si yaram boole koo gu baaxut si yaram gi ñaar yi boobu maanaam ni ngay mën a defaree kaasab café def ci meew bës leen te séddoo rek xam nga kenn mënu leen a waxal lu leen jëriñ ngeen a traumatise ba confis dof yéen ñu bëri moo tax ku ngeen di wax ne fa xame stress mu naqadi ko kooka fa wéru su ngeen sañoon lu leen nit ñi di wax mooy mbiri laalante ngeen di jàmb seen bopp wala di cot-coti ak di leen saaga ndey ñaar yooyu su ngeen sañoon loolu la leen nit di de buggu leen seen bopp wéru leen ñun wéru ñun bugguñ suñ bopp ku ñuy saaga ndey ak di ñoo waxe laalante ñu ne ku ñuy wax fan wu gudd wér gu yaram ak def sa bopp nit nga ne dem wuti saaga ndey baag laalante ba toog ok léegi taxawal ma waxal la this is not joke lii du caaxaan xaalis du tere nga dee du tere nga xob or ak xeesal ak xaalis ak oto ak yooyu yëpp du la tax a xam fan wu gudd daal yu seer jigéen ju rafet kër gu rafet du la tax a xam fan wu gudd du la tax a xam happiness du la teree dee feebar dee nothing du la ko teree def apart from li ma lay wax nii nga déglu ko moo raw kët goo samp gu ne li ma lay wax nii léegi ni ngeen di def mooy number one benn di yëngatu wala di dox booy liggéeyit bala maa dee ngeen ne may liggéey bi may def rek exercice la jarul def dara déedéet liggéey ak exercice yi yëngatu fa wuute booy liggéeyit defal yi suba teel soo xëyee bala ngaa dem liggéey nga def li ma lay won si nii 5 minutes 10 minutes nga pare su dee mënoo génn ci biti def ko te sa néeg mënoo koo def bi ma lay won nii that's fine nga def beneen dinaa la won beneen bi ngay def sa néeg wala sa kaw lal sax so force ngay taxaw def nii muy góor wala jigéen suba teel de fukki minute rek nga koy génn def ko soo paree sangu dem bul xëy rek sangu soo xëyee julli wala ngay sangu julli that's fine teela la xëy maanaam su fekkee juróom-ñaari waxtu ngay xeewu léegi xeewul juróom-benni waxtu ak ñeent fukki minute nga génn ci biti taxaw sa buntu néeg rek wala bu dee mën nga ko def sa néeg nga def li ma la woon nii soog a sangu julli bu tëb rek sangu julli soo xamee ne boo sangoo julli doo ko def léegi ni ngay def soo xëyee def nii ba pare nga def nii ya ba pare nga def nii téeméeri yoon bu dee mënoo def téeméeri yoon ndax ngaa diis téeméeri yoon bi nu nga koy defee mooy ngay def ñaar fukki yoon ak juróom noppaliku nokki tuuti wala nga def fanweeri yoon noppaliku nokki tuuti defaat repeat ba muy ñetti yoon yee wala ñeent léegi su dee mënoo def téeméeri yoon ndax ngaa diis nga def juróom fukki yoon ya bu dee mënoo loolu tam doon wori jox defal nii rek juróom fukki yoon wala téeméeri yoon ya léegi soo paree mën ngaa def nii squat you know wala soo mënta def loolu yëpp nga def nii rek te gis nga bii su fekkee nga xamee kàpp te kàpp yi nooy fa koy dëgëral bii dafa koy def mu round rafet soo ko mënee def téeméeri yoon wala juróom fukki yoon yëpp na gaaw because fukki minute ak juróom nga xam ba ñaar fukki minute ngay teel a tëdd su fekkee benn waxtu ngay tëdd wala fukki waxtu ak ñaar wala fukki waxtu na nga gaaw genn waxtu genn wàlli waxtu bi nga war a njëkk a teel a xeexu def li ngay def soog a sangu moom ngay jël wàññi ko ci xoole bi ak nekk ci téléphone bi ak ne di wax WhatsApp xuloo wala waxa sa jabar di xuloo wala defante wala jos waxa sa gel wala seetaan loo wata seetaan mel ni ko dof loolu yëpp lu mu lay jëri defal sa bopp nit te tëddi rek te jàpp si yàlla lii lum do léegi am na ñoo xam ne ñemewuñ lal xam nga tax ñemewuñ lal bu ñuy dem rek seen xalaat yi àdduna ñëw xalaat problème yëpp nag lal bi lay xaar seen problème yëpp a ngi ci kaw lal bi ak ngegenaay di leen xaar bu ñuy tëdd rek problème yi ñëw xeexal ak moom dindi ko ci lal bi dafa war a nekk free war ta xam problème yu jóoru foofu di la xaar boo ñëwee rek nga di ko xalaat non that's another video ko bëgguma def si loolu video nga wax so after soo defee noonu tëb yëngal sa yaram bi nii noonu ba pare loolu fa baax si yow sa dënd bi soo ko defee ngay yëg sa dënd bi ni muy fetfitee sonn very good sa dënd bi sa heart rate bi nga yëg ko fa baax si wér gu yaram lool plus fay tax nga sawar bés bi yëpp ngay sawar xam énergie plus sa yaram fay gën a wàññeeku suba su ne su yàggee rek ngay gën a commencé di wàññi time bi ngay xoole ci guddi gi ndax nga gën a mën a teel a xeewu ndax nga gën a mën a xam time pour yëngatu ndax ngay commencé di gis resource booy sangu gis resource nga ne yeemaan man sax ne danaa gaaw a tëdd fukki waxtu rek ma tëdd ndax yàlla juróom-benni waxtu ma xeewu exercise juróom-ñaari waxtu ma sangu dem liggéey boo xeexoo mën ngaa jàpp rek julli xanaa ngaa xeewu ak sobe boo xeewut ak sobe sangu nga ci ngoon bala ngaa tëdd xeewu xamoo sobe demal jàpp julli noonu te dem exercise boo paree soog a sangu dem looy tëb rek di sangu waaye bu la neexee nga sangu waaye na nga exercise de léegi boo defee noonu ba pare loolu rek doy na bu la neexee tëb bi ma la woon noonu nga def ko téeméeri yoon wala juróom fukki yoon def nii def squat loolu boo ko mënee boo ko mënu tëb bi rek doy na tëb bi téeméeri yoon rek soo paree nga sangu dem loolu rek doy na yëpp su dee mënoo loolu soo xëyee na nga dox surtout boo duwee màggat maanaam xam nga juróom fukki at ak lu teg juróom ñaar fukki at juróom benn fukki at surtout boo feebaree di naan garab ay façon yi feebar bu la mënti dal nag seen feebar yi xaw ma jabet ak xaw ma feebari sukar ak xaw ma lii nan xaw ma ndax jabet mooy feebari sukar xaw ma different feebar yi ngeen di xam daal tànk yu métti gën nag loxo nangam yëpp boo doon yëngatu di lekk yu baax mu bala féréŋ bala mu wàññeeku ba ñàkk telling you this xëyal kon waaxu boo waaxoo lu mat ñaar fukki minute ak juróom wala fukki minute ak juróom sax waaye waaxu dëgg laaw ba mel ni kuy daw de wala fanweeri minute def na si yow ba waaxu dëpp ñàkkatoo xet ngay waaxu mel ni ku ñuy dàqee mel ni ku dof def noonu téeméeri yoon ci kaw lal bi ku ne mën na ko gi nga nii sax exercice la nii sa tànki nga di ko def nii te loolu yëpp nga ko def ci kaw lal bi nii te loolu yëpp nga ko def ci kaw lal bala nga wàcc fa des ban façon lal nga xam su fekkee sa lal bi sa matelas bi baaxul doo mën a def loolu yëpp waaye boo amee matelas bu baax bu stable yu bari mën nga ko def ci kaw lal bi bala ngaa wàcc beneen bi nga war a def ci kaw lal bi jigéen ju ne fa ko war a def surtout jigéen ju am jëkkët wala bu nga xam jëkkët mooy ngay def nii fa yomb ba bugga dee neex a def ba lii yëpp nga koy def bala ngaa wàcc sangu ji lii yëpp fay tax nga sawar ba pare sa yaram bi dana wàññeeku bu yàggee surtout biir bi ak ndigg li te bii fay defar tànk yi it bi ma lay won nii bii man ngaa def lii yëpp ci kaw lal bi ba pare nga wàcc soog a tëb def tëb bi ma la woon noonu du mat fukki minutes sax nga pare tëb bi rek dem sangu ji dem barki yàlla taraay leen loolu seet yéen ñi nga xam ne bu ñu waxee ngeen ne may liggéey amuma temps dama dee liggéey dama dee soona lii nag fay tax nga sawar xam énergie ba sa liggéey bi doo ko faaleeti te fay tax nga xam wér gu yaram te mooy liggéey bi rek doyut de liggéey bi coono bi mi def si yow ak exercice bi sa yaram bi nu ngi koy yuusee sa yaram bi fa xuute lii wér gu yaram gu muy def si yow ak baaxaay bi ci ne lii fa xuuteeg dem liggéey ñëw rek li muy def ci yow laaj ko docteur yi moo tax nga gis docteur yi sax fa ñuy xëy exercice ba pare soog a xëy liggéey dem ca hôpital ba di jaabante ba bët set ñu ñëw exercice soog a sangu tëdd nelaw docteur yi laa la wax so nii ngay def nga def ko lu ma téeméeri yoon te bii du ne fay wàññi biit defar kàpp yi defar tànk yi déedéet bii fay jël sa jigéen yaa ngi tëj ko mel ni gune gu ndaw taraay leen ko da ngeen ma ko bii it baax na moom it du ne fay defar sa jigéen yaa ngi rek de fay defar sa kàpp yi bam ne coj bii it noonu dégg nga ko fay dindi gere si ndigg li dindi gere si biit bi defaraale kàpp yi yëpp muy bii it yii yëpp yoo xam ne la mën nga ko def ci kaw lal bi dégg nga li ma la wax ba boo xëyee bala ngaa sangu dem soo paree nga def bi ma la won nii dégg nga nii téeméeri yoon ci kaw lal bi yëpp all of this you have to do them on the bed before you leave and go to work in the morning when you wake up don't say I don't have time to exercise I'm walking. No, don't say that, oh, I am walking. Walking is exercise. It's not exercise there. Walking is good, depending on your job. If you are walking around, it's good. That's the exercise. That's true. But moving your body, stretching, jumping, feeling your heartbeat, moving your body and your muscles, that's a different type of exercise than just walking around like this. That's why you see the doctors, they get up in the morning, they exercise, and then they go to work, walking around all day. They come back again and exercise. Why are they doing it when they're just walking around in the hospital all day? Because they know it's different. These things are going to make you sleep more positive, happy, healthy, almost whatever is wrong with your body. If you eat healthier or add some healthy food to your diet and move, billahi, doesn't matter what is wrong with your body. It's either going to go if you don't give up, or it's going to almost go. It's going to calm down. It's going to reduce. It's not gonna, hurt you and affect you like it used to. Dora ndonga nan masa analysis boni. Yo wero my enemies. Dengali malendi wane. You are full of fat. I know, that's why I'm trying to exercise. Get to hell. Some people are worse than me. And you are full of misery. Whoever the hell you are, you might be worse than me, by the way. But if you are not in the look, then you're worse in the brain, which is worse than the look. But anyway, I don't mind that I have some fat. I'm trying to fight them. I see people that are worse than me, so I'm still proud of myself. Everyone should be proud of themselves and then start working on them. Hello. So what was I saying? Nakari bad. All right. So yeah, I'm gonna go, guys. May them fight out. Do you see this? May know them guys. Yeah, them sanguji. But yeah, just anything that is wrong with you. If you are drinking medicine because you're not well or something, doesn't matter what age you are. If you know your mom is not well, oh my God, your mom is drinking medicine or your dad or your whatever. Why? Oh my God, I'll deal with this after when I put the camera down. Whoa. I can't put the camera down. Oh, I want to do it now. Why? The pimples is painful. Ooh. I'll do it after. So what was I saying? Yeah. Doesn't matter what is wrong with you now and you're drinking medicine, high blood pressure, whatever people drinking medicine for nowadays, you know. Why me? Why I'm so lucky is that all these years I keep researching and eating healthy. Even though I like food, I always eat healthy food to add to my diet, which is why I'm not on any medication. But a lot of people my age who are 40 or above, they're on all kind of medication because they don't eat healthy. Oh my God, I want to press this so much, but I'm gonna press it after the video. Picc bu ma gis danaa ko press mbala duma xam jàmm may nekk ba vidéo bi pare suma kanam gi yëpp am ay picc fan yi What was I saying? Yeah, so just try to eat healthier and try to move and try to think positive and try to go for what you want in life. You know, the good things you want in life. Don't be afraid of them. And yeah, just keep knowing who you are and protect yourself. And yeah, everything will be fine, inshallah, guys. So I'm gonna go. Have a good day. Hopefully I'll come back later on for fun/selling video. But if not, you guys will see me when I see you again. Jam kaumalan. Kawal ko gibin sa. Pabuka tao, guys. Ngalaw lang siya dong yung kata. Semua hate sih. Do dem si de molajikan. Liwurul de lan worul de. Okay, guys, maa ngi dem ba si kanam. Hendulen jamu. I'm gonna see you guys later on. Have a good day. So just do all of these things, you know, get knowledge from anywhere you can, you know, grab as much as you can, you know, when it comes to good knowledge, research, read, listen, learn from anyone that is giving you good knowledge, doesn't matter who they are. And yeah, everything will be fine, inshallah. I wish us all the best. And I'm gonna see you guys next time, inshallah. Okay, handle and jam, guys. Why? Why? Give me tea. Oh my God. Jërëjëf, hello, siyaar naa la. Jërëjëf, maa ngi dem danaa ñëw beneen yoon si kanam. So de leen lekk yu baax si yaram kon nu ma leen ko waxee ay mbuumi nebedaay buy basaab you know fruit vegetable ndox bu bëri oytu suukar su bëri diw yu bon yi ngeen oytu ko ak lekk yu bon yi si àdduna si léegi su ngeen koy lekk sax bu leen ko dëkkee di naan ndox di sant yàlla di yëngatu di positive te di nelaw inshallah yàlla baax na plus ngeen lijjanti yu baax yi ngeen bëgg am si àdduna of course yàlla bay sa tool waaye bul yàkkamti gëm sa bopp te xaar ok yàlla baax na yàlla kenn ku ne lu baax la lijjanti yàlla may la ko and yeah dinaa leen gis si kanam wala beneen yoon bye hendu leen jàmm guys bye